blah.
Renars podcast.
And we are live, and today our guest is one and only Nicholas Daines, who is a stuntman, a presenter, and also I just found out that he's a microbiologist.
Yes, that's true. You can't put me in a box.
Hey Nick, how are you?
Boom.
Thank you so much for coming over, man.
Okay, thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here because you are probably one of the people I could say like this guy likes variety in his life, and this is great.
I do. I do so many different things, and I always have, and that's what sort of makes me. You know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go from very beginning. Where did you grow up?
Well, actually, I was stone's throw from here in Camberley,
Okay.
in Surrey. So, went to Collingwood School there. Born and bred Camberley, educated there, and first and foremost, I was a gymnast, really. I mean, that's where my whole sort of journey along the entertainment route.
And then how old you were when you started getting gymnastics?
I was about 6.
Wow.
My sister went to a gymnastics club called Rushmore Gymnastics Club, and she used to come home and teach me on the landing upstairs what she'd learned. So she'd just throw me around doing backflips and somersaults, and I could do them immediately. So I actually had a natural talent for it. But she was just teaching me everything she'd learned at gym. And then one day she took me along to her coaches just to show her what she'd...
Without parents knowing that?
Oh, no, my parents drove...
Without the consent?
And they were like, yeah, shit, we better get him into a club as soon as possible.
So in the beginning, as kids get into gymnastics, they do a little bit of everything. They don't have a specific area what they do. They don't go rings, parallel bars, anything like that. They do kind of overall gymnastics, right?
In the beginning, it's just floor and vault. I mean,
right.
When you're first starting out at 6 years old. I mean, I don't know how it is today. Don't forget, I'm old. So this is a long time ago, although I'm still doing it.
Nicholas like, I'm old.
Well, I'm still doing it, and that's the great thing. Like I've been doing this now for 46 years. Yeah, do the maths, God.
You guys can calculate that.
Yeah, so it's and I'm still doing it. I'm still jumping around, which is
awesome.
That's the best thing.
It's very inspirational as well for someone who's like I know people who out of university or even out of high school. They're like, oh, that's it. I can't do anything. I don't do sports anymore. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, I think the key to that is just to keep going.
Exactly.
Once you stop, that's when the rot sets
magic.
in and you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So that's my advice. Don't stop.
So in gymnastics, then, what disciplines did you actually compete in when you started competing?
So I did all 6 pieces of apparatus in artistic gymnastics. So you've got parallel bars, high bar, vault, floor, pommel horse, and rings. And then I competed nationally in artistic gymnastics. And I kept going, and I sort of retired from the sport in a way when I did my A-levels, because I had to concentrate on, a proper education.
Yeah, and A-levels, for those who are not from UK, that's about age 16, 18 in between, right?
16 to 18.
Yeah.
And I have to think back now, 16 to 18. And then I went to university, and that's when I started studying microbiology. But while I was at university, I wanted to get involved in something again. And I didn't think that gymnastics was what I was looking for. But as soon as I walked back into the gym, when I was approached about joining the varsity gymnastics team, it was like I'd never been away. And I realized such a part of me was gymnastics. It's like I had never been away, and it was what I was wanting and craving, and it sort of satisfied all those needs and wants of getting involved and being back in competitive sport again. And I really excelled at it because my body had matured. I got a lot more muscle and strength, so I was even better than when I left the sport. So that was great. But after university, I then went into double mini trampoline, which is an offshoot, or it's still under British Gymnastics, and that's under the tumbling and trampoline circuit.
How do you call it again? Double
mini trampoline. It's like a large trampette really with one sloping side. So you run up to it like the vault, jump on the sloping end, you do double somersaults and twists to land on the flat part of the bed, and then you do double somersaults and triple twists.
Perfect. I'll put the video in here. Everyone can see it.
To land on the floor. I think there's some videos on my YouTube channel.
Awesome.
And they and from in that sport I actually did go internationally for Great Britain. So I wore the Team GB tracksuit and became part of Team GB, which was really cool, and was part of the 2003 World Championship team. So that was, after you think, and I was 30 then. I was 30 when I went international.
That is awesome.
Which again, I think, for all those out there listening, hopefully that's a bit of inspiration. That you think your career's over.
Yeah, listen, I got in gymnastics when I was almost 30.
There you go.
That's where I started training for the stunts and everything. So that's fantastic.
So you don't have to do it when you're young. Or you don't have to reach your peak.
How was that during your gymnastics journey? How was the injuries?
So along the way, I did snap my femur while I was competing again after university, and that was I was on a moped and I drove into the back of a car that did an emergency stop because the car in front of him did an emergency stop. Right. And I caught my leg between the wheel arch of the tire and the tire itself, and I did a 360-degree spin over the top. I was laying on the tarmac with my leg twisted up in the tire and the wheel arch, and as they pulled my leg from the wreckage, it did like a spin, like an elastic band unwinding, and my foot ended up where my knee was. And it was really mangled, and they thought I was going to lose my leg.
Oh, so no. Did anyone at least got a video of it? Because that could go on your show reel.
I would have got a lot of hits. I could do with it right now just to boost the numbers on my YouTube channel. My mangled leg would have done wonders. Anyway, didn't have that.
Because last year I got in a bad bike accident in Latvia. And the first thing what I thought when I woke up in an ambulance was not like, oh, where's the bike? Am I okay? It's like, oh, did anyone video it?
Yeah, it works today.
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't have CCTV on that bridge, but anyways.
No, and then they didn't get mine either. But anyway, they did think that I was going to lose my leg. So I pleaded with them. Because sometimes, when you put so much fluid into the system, I'd lost so much blood. Amputation can be the more simpler option. Because it was very mangled. But I pleaded with them. I said I'm still competing in gymnastics, and eventually, and thankfully they didn't, and I lived to tell the tale. Then I went internationally after that for Team GB.
So the doctors were like giving you 50-50s? They saying like, or they more inclined saying like we'd be better amputate this?
Yeah, they said that was really the option, but. So it was quite a frightening time as well, and I was away from home. It happened in Bermuda, and I was away on holiday. But luckily, they have the best orthopedic surgeons there, because you can't hire cars on the island if you're a holiday maker. You can only hire mopeds or take taxis. Yeah. So they have a lot of accidents, and they have some of the best orthopedic surgeons in the world. So I was very lucky.
They got a lot of practice there.
But anyway, they saved that, and. They told me I'd never do gymnastics again. They said I wouldn't be doing any of that stuff, which is rubbish.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm still doing it today. And I then went on to compete internationally for Great Britain. And that's a real feather in the cap. But also an inspiration.
How long it took you from the accident to being back again on training?
I remember, I think 4 months after the accident, I was back on the trampoline, just jumping with the straight leg.
Yeah, just being very careful
trying
and
to get it moving and everything. And
4 months.
It was really bad. And actually, it was the hardest part about that injury was the fact that they give you sleeping pills, because obviously to deal with the pain and to rest. And then I've really felt myself. The hardest part was to get off those.
Yeah, were they opioids? Because those apparently are the most.
I'm not exactly sure what they gave me. I think trimazepam. Actually, I do remember what it was.
Trimazepam,
whatever it is. And it was really hard to get off those. And that, I've just been watching that Painkiller
Oh,
on
I haven't seen it. Is that
TV, the story of Oxycontin.
Oxycontin?
Yeah, which was an
yeah, yeah.
opioid that everyone was addicted
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
And funny enough, that sort of just brought it back, because that was the hardest part, was getting off that.
Yeah. Because you didn't even know that, why is it so hard? Like, they wouldn't tell you that, oh, that's, by the way, we're giving you this for pain killing, but most likely you're going to really struggle to get off of it.
Well, with the dosage that I was on, it wasn't really like that, but you can see it's a slippery slope, because you become to rely on it, because if you can't sleep at night, because from going from being so active to doing nothing but sitting on your fat ass all day, it really difficult.
Crazy.
So you don't sleep at night. I mean, I'm really active usually a lot. I'm really active during the day. So you know what I mean? It's like it was just so hard to sleep, because I hadn't actually done anything apart from just walk around on crutches. And so that was the hardest part of that injury. I don't know why I brought that up.
No,
I think it's Painkiller.
but
It's in my head. It's in my head.
Yeah, but that's
such a good series.
That's a good point. I mean, that's a good point to mention. That's a huge, and especially in America, that's a huge problem, because doctors subscribe left and right. Oh, you have a little pain, take this.
Yeah.
And then they can't get rid of it, and then now they have this huge problem with homeless people, and those homeless people are usually the drug addicts who just can't stop. It's like the whole. Yeah, that's a different story. Okay, so gymnastics and competing, and then somewhere in the horizon there was a stunts. How did that all started?
Well, I was at university, obviously, and when that finished, I was really sort of lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
So you didn't want to pursue what you were studying? You didn't thought that this is...
Well, the one thing, although I was good at it, I got a first class honours, so it's the best you can get.
By the way, we have this sound as well. That's for later.
Yeah, there's a lot of those in my life. Yes. So, but I knew that while I was doing my degree, they asked me to stay on and do a PhD. My thesis was in mycology, which is the study of fungus, and I really, really loved that. And they wanted me to stay on and do a PhD, but I just knew that looking down the end of a microscope was not for me.
Yeah.
So after university, when all the structured route of education sort of fell away because I had nothing else planned, I started to apply to different things. I applied to be a pilot because my father was a pilot with British Airways. So I was clutching at straws though. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I always knew that I wanted to be in film and TV in front of the camera. That was always a dream that I had in my head. And I think looking back, it stems from childhood, because there was a girl in my class who, when I was about 8 years old, actually she was in my brother's year, and she was 2 years older, and she lived up the road, but she was on a Bachelor's Soup commercial. And I just was in awe of the fact that she was...
Bachelor's Soup commercial. What the hell is that?
Well, it's a soup. It was for a soup.
Why is it Bachelor's?
Because that's the name of the company. It still exists.
Okay.
So she was in...
And you thought, like, I want to be on soup commercial. Is that?
I did. I was like, I just thought it was amazing that she was on this commercial, and yet she was at my school, but she was in everybody's home.
Oh, right.
And everyone knew her from the TV.
Right.
I think that's one of my sort of earliest recollection inspiration. And then there was Dallas and Dynasty when I was growing up.
I've seen that one.
Well, the glitz and glamour of that was what fueled the sort of Hollywood angle of the TV and film thing the dreams I had in my head. Because I did. They were just dreams. And, you know, my family was a very practical family. My dad was very practical. It's like I had to find something practical. Those were just dreams that went on in my head, you know.
Right. And your parents, your dad was a pilot, you said?
No, he was a pilot for British Airways.
Yeah, and your mom, what did she do?
My mum she worked in a distribution centre for CNA while I was growing up. And then after that, housewife. But my mum, I'd probably talk about my mum later, but she is one of my most inspirational people in my life. Just as she's had MS, multiple sclerosis, for 45 years, been in a wheelchair since 1993. But she is one of the toughest people I have and that's where I get it from, my steely determination and drive, and I'm inspired by her every day. She's got all these difficulties that she has to overcome. Even going to the toilet on a daily basis is just, a chore and really difficult. But she does it, and she does it with a smile on her face. So I'll probably talk about her later.
And your siblings is just a sister, or you have?
No, I'm one of four.
You're one of four?
I'm the
wow.
youngest.
You're the youngest.
Yeah, I've got 2 brothers and a sister.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah,
where was I? Okay, I'm always.
No, it's okay.
I've got a lot to say.
It's okay.
I never shut up.
You were talking about the soup, and then that inspired you.
And the Dallas,
the soup, and then the Dallas,
and Dynasty. Those were for a few of those dreams. So going back to after finishing university, I was just applying for various things. So with the British Airways thing, I applied to the cadet pilot training scheme, but. You're up against people who have had their PPL since they're like 4 years old. You really got to want it.
And PPL is?
Private pilot's license, sorry. And I clearly didn't want it. It was.
Yeah. But did you have your license?
No, I did have a few lessons.
Okay.
Flying a Cessna. But, it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And then I applied to all the top pharmaceutical companies. I started to go down sort of research and development route with all the big GlaxoSmithKline and people like that. But it wasn't what I really wanted to do. What I really wanted to do was be in the movies and on TV. So I needed money after university just to tick over, really. And I got a job for a job's sake. But it was really difficult to find a job because I was qualified up to the eyeballs, and I was just applying to mundane sort of jobs, and no one would give me a chance because they'd be like, you're not going to stay, you're just going to go.
And the age we're talking about is about 24, 25?
So now I was 21.
21?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because you got your uni, how many years did you study in university then?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Got your bachelor's degree, and you didn't thought about masters. You said like there's a PhD concept.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to go into any more education.
Okay, 21, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, so I needed a job just for, a job's sake, really.
Yeah.
And I actually got an interview for an insurance company from my job centre in Camberley. I didn't want to do insurance. I had some experience of doing telesales when I was about 16. So I went along, and I just basically, by that point, started to tell a few fibs, this was what I really wanted to do. And I just told them what they wanted to hear. And the guy that was actually taking the interview, he was, he was one of those sort of old school, work your way up. So I just said that, I don't want to do microbiology. I just want to get into a job where I can really learn the profession, climb the ladder and learn every aspect of it.
I can so relate to that. But in about 5 years, I changed 15 different jobs when I lived back in Latvia. Because I wasn't sure what I want to do. I was like selling, marketing, whatever that is, just to pay some bills. And as you say, you get so good actually on the interviews. You say exactly what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, they're really Renars. Oh, that's how you, yes, exactly. That's what I want to do.
So I got the job, which was great, but not great because it was the most boring job in the entire world. Insurance, sorry for anyone out there listening to insurance, but bloody hell. I mean, I was like an empty shell going to work every day. I hated that job, and I was almost like dying on the inside, and I was just going through the motions. I was just this robot.
So sad.
Going to work every day. Yeah. And it was at that point that all the dreams I had in my head of Hollywood, being in TV, thinking that there was a life outside this dull, grey, boring existence that I was leading. And that's when I packed my bags and went to Hollywood.
Right, you actually just went to UK to United States.
Yeah,
wow.
I know, and it was the most stupid thing I've done. Although, yeah, that one. But it was also the best thing I ever did, because the journey that it took me on and the path it led me down is where I am today. It was, although I couldn't work there when I went because I had no visa, I struggled to even get to Hollywood at first. I started with my friend in San Francisco. She was at San Francisco State University, so I thought, oh, that's close enough. As good a place as any. 6 hours away by car. It wasn't good at all.
Yeah.
But I eventually made my way there. And then I had great adventures. And luckily, eventually I started again telling a few fibs to get an agent. And that's when they sent me on my first casting. And I remember it vividly. It was for a Pacific Bell telephone commercial. And I just had to do a standing back somersault. And it was like someone slammed the door. It was like, yes, this is what I want to do with my life. So it showed me that I was on the right path. But of course I couldn't work there. And then I had to come back to the UK with my tail between my legs.
But then that means you didn't really know that what's going on with this industry in UK at the time.
No.
Yeah, you just thought like it's Hollywood.
That's right. That's all I could. Anything to do with the entertainment business was Hollywood. That was the center of the whole world, and it was also the center of my childhood. See, it just goes to show how strong those influences are when you're a kid. Because all I could relate to was the Dallas and the Dynasty, which was not the humdrum EastEnders that with the nitty-gritty East End life. I didn't want that. I wanted nice, fast cars, big houses, and
welcome to Hollywood.
That's it. I had those stars in my eyes, not UK TV, which was all very drab and, in my opinion, I mean. But then when I came back here, I hadn't given up the gymnastics.
By the way, that commercial you did, how did you get paid?
No, I didn't do it.
Oh, you didn't do it?
That was just an audition.
It was just an audition.
Yeah,
right.
What it showed me was.
But what would you do if you would get it? How would they pay you? You were illegally there.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it, of course. So, but like I said, that's so strong with these influences, and I do everything. I was talking to you earlier, and I was saying I do everything by feel. I even shop by feel. And so packing my bags and going on to Hollywood, again, was the same sort of thing. I'm just doing everything by feel. I'm just going with my gut instinct.
Yeah, gut instinct.
And what's in my heart and what's in my head, and I'm just going for it. I don't even, and sometimes that's a good thing because you're so stupid that you don't even see the obstacles that are in your way until you look back and you're like, oh.
I want to disagree. I don't think it's sometimes it's stupid. Sometimes it's stupid. I think, or sometimes it's good. I think it's most of the time it's good. If people would listen to their gut more, it would be a very different world. Because I left Latvia mainly because my gut was just screaming, you're not doing the right path. And then when I started following my gut, and now I'm doing only things according to my gut. And I'm way more happier.
But
and there's more and more research as well where they say like instead of like thinking with your brain, with your like logical thinking, instead you should just follow what this says.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And basically, again, I've lost my...
No, that's all right. So
what was it?
So you got back to UK, and then that's where
so I got back... I obviously came back to the UK, couldn't... And I hadn't given up the gymnastics. I was still doing the gymnastics. And I was training at my old gymnastics club, and they randomly got a call from an agent looking for gymnasts for a comedy acrobatic routine for a pantomime season. And I literally jumped at the chance, and that was my springboard. Haha.
Hey, where was that?
Into the entertainment business. And from that point, I haven't looked back. But you can see it. It's all a journey. And it was all... Yeah. The journey was, you can't make these things up. I mean, I've got another story probably I'll tell you later on to get into the sort of stunt world and the entertainment proper, as it were, starting to earn a living in it, that you just can't make up. It's like it's preordained. I mean, I am a true believer in fate and destiny, but although you could say you create your own, but I mean, sometimes I really wonder about it.
You see, and that's why I love to hear these stories and get these stories out. And so far, how many guests I had, like those stories are very similar. As well, I don't even know where I'm going, but I know that I'm going. This is the direction.
Yeah,
I don't know where it's gonna take me. What's gonna happen? Am I gonna get? Is it gonna be a lucky or whatever? But most of these stories, someone noticed you, that you got jump on that chance and you just go with it, and then you learn more about it, and that's it. For me, it's like I was exposed to East London Gymnastics. That's where my eyes opened because I met all the people from industry. I met people from Stunts. And the way I found about the British Stunt Register was one of the stunties was training for the Reg doing rings and parallel bars. And I never seen anyone being so shitty at it. I literally came over and I was like, I noticed you're very bad at this. Why are you doing it? and the guy was like, oh, it's one of the disciplines I'm doing.
Did he make it in the end?
Oh, yeah, he did.
Oh, are you going to name and shame?
First not. No, never later.
Oh, well, he must have improved a bit then. Oh. Oh, dear.
But yeah, so going to that idea, and as soon as you kind of go that path, no matter what, all of a sudden these little things, all of a sudden like these little angels kind of like appear and like things start happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. And since then, I haven't looked back. But so I was in the entertainment business. I was doing the comedy acrobatic routine, and I loved it. But and then from there, I went to do a summer season in Mallorca for 8 months in a show called Pirates, which I believe is still going.
Really?
But when I did it, it was a load of rubbish. I mean, not because I was in it, but the fact that it was just very much in its infancy, and it was like a pirate show with pirate characters, but also an acrobatic element to it. So I was in the French pirate half, which was
it's kind of a little bit like Legoland, probably.
I haven't seen it, but yes, probably something similar.
I've seen only excerpts of Legoland. They're all pirates and jumping in the water and do like little fights and stuff. That's what I've seen.
Yeah, and so it was a dinner show basically, and the first half was playing games with the captains that were heading each of the tables, groups of tables. And then the second half was the French pirates. There'd be a little fight, and then we'd go into some circus cabaret and lots of different acts.
Right.
And I was just in that. But what it taught me was with the pantomime and that summer season was I didn't want to be in theatre. I really wanted film and TV. That was still the dream with, obviously my childhood influences.
Did you find that one of the killers for you, because I done shows 2 years in a row, and the thing what I found was it was a repetition, the same thing over and over. That's what I was struggling with.
Definitely, and I was tumbling on a concrete stage. Oh my God.
Yeah, and if you get injury, you have to do the same thing over and over.
That coffee. No, definitely.
I put some drugs in there.
The repetition is a big thing. And I was tumbling on a concrete stage. And what really sort of drove that message home of, this isn't what I want to do is, number one, it was boring because it was the same thing every day, which is what I got out of the 9 to 5 rat race for, because it was the monotony of it that killed me. But also the fact that if I wanted longevity, I couldn't be doing what I was doing day in, day out, because, your body hurts. Yeah. And even though I was young, it takes a hammering. And a lot of my friends that stayed in that sort of world and went off to do Cirque du Soleil and things like that, most of them have had surgery, most of them have been injured, and, a lot of them haven't been able to continue. So fortunately, I made that choice early enough and thought, not that you can't get injured in stunts, or in film and TV, but it was just, it really didn't have the appeal. I still had those childhood influences which were lighting the fire to do something within film and TV.
So how did it happen?
So I was really struggling after the summer season. I made the decision. So I joined extra agency.
Right.
So I joined extra agencies, and it was really hard to make a living because the sporadic nature of that business when you first start, the fact that it takes 2 months to get paid, 3 months to get paid, you're always on the back foot.
So what Nicholas is talking about is the extra agencies, like SA agencies or supportive artists, the ones we have in the background. And since AI, probably we're not going to need those anymore soon.
God.
That's a totally different subject to talk about. But and I also did the SA stuff to qualify for BSR. And to me, it was like a mind-drenching thing to sit on the set doing nothing. But again, when you started, it was even tougher because the jobs are not that often.
There weren't that many productions, not like there are now in the UK. It's a really different industry. It's really buoyant. There's loads of different productions, not right now because obviously there's a strike going on, but TV is still going ahead. But so it was really difficult to sort of get a foothold, make a living. But again, those things happen for a reason, and I didn't just want to make a living in the business. I want to make a good living. So that forced me to diversify. And of course, I've always done more than one thing. It's in my nature to try different things. And you've got to get your product sold. So the more versatile your product and the more things you can do, the more chance you're going to work. And that's basically the ethos that I employed. And of course, you know, I then being physical, I did anything that could be physical. I was relatively okay looking, so I did the modeling. I did the circus live performance stuff. I learned the aerial stuff. I did aerial silks. And then I do the extra work and whatever else came my way that I could do. But it was really tough to initially start. And one of those stories of fate and destiny was I thought, and I still think to a degree, and anyone who knows me is going to look at this and go, oh my God, it's so true. Because I think I can do anything.
Yeah, of course.
but to a degree, you know, obviously I'm not going to say I'm going to be the next MMA
What did
fighter
you
'cause I'm
do?
not gonna do it.
What did you do?
No, I'm just saying, I think I can do anything. So I was a gymnast. I was fit. I had a relatively good body, I thought. So I thought I could do, I thought I could get into glamour modeling.
Okay.
And I had no clue as to what that entailed. So there were two agencies. There was one called Samantha Bond, and then there was one called Yvonne Paul. So I went to Samantha Bond first, and I'd had some pictures taken, you know, of me doing gymnastics, like just with tiny little shorts on and some body shots or whatever. And I was really proud of those. I thought, oh yeah, you know, I look really good. Anyway,
I love the way it's going.
I went to Samantha Bond, and she took one look at me and she laughed at me. She was like, "You're a dwarf, basically."
Oh my God!
To make it in this industry, you have to be shit. You have to be shit. You have to be 6 foot tall and built like a brick shit house.
Shit foot tall and built like a 6 feet wall.
Yeah, she said yes. To be a glamour model, 6 foot tall at least.
Yeah.
And built like a brick shit house. And
you're just a little bit less, aren't you?
Oh my God, I'm tiny.
How tall are you?
5'6", 5'7" on my resume.
I like you. I'm 5'7", and 5'8" on the resume. Because one time I went for audition, they did the measurements, and she said, "You are 5'7" and 3/4." So that means 5'8". Yes, that means 5'8". Yes.
Oh yeah,
and every time I go now, they do the measurements. You're not 5'8".
Well, I'm as tall as you need me to be.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Sometimes we wear stilettos just.
I've doubled 6 foot tall actors. I've had to wear, you know, step-ins, almost like high heels because you got so many shoved in your shoes. But anyway, on this occasion, she was laughing at me because I am so short.
Yeah.
And that was a hard rejection. I was like, well, at least I was really angry actually inside.
Yeah. Did you slap her?
No, I forced.
Did you storm out?
I just forced her to look at the pictures.
I can't
anyway.
do this.
I just made sure she looked at the pictures, and she said, "Yeah, I know you've got, you know, because you've got some talent, but you know, you're not for us." Anyway, so I was undeterred.
Yeah.
And the next stop was Yvonne Paul, and it took ages to get in with Yvonne Paul. One thing or another, the appointment got postponed a lot, and eventually I went in to see her, and again, similar response. Was,
too tall.
What are you doing here? But she was a lot nicer.
Oh.
And she said, look, you know what? I'm opening up another side of the agency. You've got a good physique and maybe, I doubt. She said, I really doubt they will ever have anything for you, but we're opening another side of the agency, which is
called Dwarfs Welcome.
No, it was more of a, you know, like a commercial side of the agencies where, you know, they might need a gymnast or a skill set that I had. So she said she'd keep me on her books for the glamour modeling side, and then she'd put me obviously in the other side of the agency. Anyway, I mean, I waffled on for ages, but cut a long story short, really struggling in the business, couldn't really make it. And I remember I was sitting on a bench in Great Portland Street after I'd just been to another dead-end casting for Lee's People. They'd sent me on this. That was one of the extra agencies. I don't know if they exist anymore.
What's the title of the
Lee's People. Anyway.
Sure. No, I haven't heard.
And it was again, because I'm a dwarf and a short person. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but I am very short. I know, God. I'm not very PC, am I, today? So, but I can laugh about it, but I walked into this photographic casting and the photographer just looked at me and said, why have they sent you? And I said, well, I'm here for the casting. And they, no, you're not right.
Oh.
And they didn't even see me. I mean, they didn't even put me through the motions of having my mugshot taken or whatever. They, photos to show the client. I was just literally sent away with a flea in my ear. And I remember sitting on this park bench and I was really close to tears at that point. I remember it vividly. And I was just like, well, you know what? Those dreams I had in my head of being in film and TV, yes, all roads seem to point this way, but I can't continue like this. I'm not making any money and I've got to, you either have to draw the line, and then get a proper job. You got to support yourself somehow. And I was like, well, I've tried, I've done my best. I don't know what else to do, so maybe it's just not meant to be like I think it is. And my phone rang.
At that moment where you're about to cry.
And back then we did have mobiles. When dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Were you next to the phone booth and there was people knew your number?
So I rang, and guess who it was?
Someone important in your life?
Yvonne Paul.
Oh, it was Yvonne Paul. That was my second guess.
The glamour model agent. But not the commercial side, the glamour modeling side. And she said to me, look, this is a long shot. You are the very last person that we can try.
Oh, God.
And she said, I know, you're probably not right for it, but can you get to 65 Great Portland Street in 15 minutes? And I was like, I'm on Great Portland Street.
Oh, my God.
And by this time I had started to walk while I was talking to her.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, I need you to get to 65 Great Portland Street. I looked up. I was outside 65 Great Portland. Actually, it was 60 Great Portland Street.
But very close, just right
No,
there.
because I'm trying to remember. I tell the story so many times. So I don't know why I'm bulking at the number of Great Portland Street. But it was either 60 or 160 because it was FlexTech building. It was the FlexTech offices. I'm not joking. I'm not making this up, and it still gives me goosebumps today that I was actually outside 160 Great Portland Street. And how can you make that up?
That is crazy. That is really cool.
So she said, we've been sending people all day. They're not right. You're our last resort. I went in there, and there were all these really fantastically handsome men built like brick shit houses,
and then
from the top model agencies.
And you.
They were from Elite, they were from Models One, they were from Boss Models. I mean, they were the top. I was literally just an afterthought. And I remember going to the toilet and trying to do like press-ups in the toilet
to bulk up,
pump my chest up a little bit. Anyway, I eventually got taken through and to see the director. And the FlexTech offices were ones that were glass. They were completely glass. And you had to take your top off for the director. And I remember just taking my top off as I walked around the corner, and the director was in one of the glass offices, and he pointed at me and goes, that's what I want.
Wow.
I got the job, and it was my highest paying job of my point of my career at that time.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked back.
Wow. What did you need to do? Was it just modeling?
Take my top off. That was it.
That's it.
and I really, it was just like a bit of, taking top off and maybe a pull-up or two. It was very simple. It was maybe a bit of a bicep, and they put the tattoo of the logo of the Bravo channel.
Right.
That with the horns that came out.
Because also in that case, I was wondering, how would they even see your height in that photo? You just would be by yourself. Like, you can be 6 feet or 5 feet. It wouldn't make any difference. Yeah,
but this industry is...
I know what you're saying. But like, for that job...
they wouldn't have. But
yeah, exactly.
What they saw was someone with an okay body, and that's basically...
Look at the jawline. Come on, what are you talking about?
Well, back then... it was really sort of, from a picture, perhaps he could do it. And that's what it is. And then I was given the opportunity and I got the job. But it's funny you should say it, because this industry is very high-taste, especially when it comes to acting. And I swear that Hollywood and the other, acting casting agents, they are selecting for taller and taller leading men. I mean, the Dudley Moores of this day and age and the Tom Cruises will be they're a thing of the past. I mean, you don't really, unless you're a real character actor like Toby Jones that I just dabbled in Indiana Jones a little bit. There aren't many. They're all.
I like when someone
Everyone's really tall.
finally I have someone in the shed who has sharing the same pain.
But it's true, right?
Yeah, it is true. Obviously, that's why I'm trying to get into podcasting and into stand up. Because like I got just
because you're broke.
yeah, like mentally. No, but the idea is like how often we don't get jobs in stunt industry as well because like they need 6 feet guys or whatever, and I can be as skilled as possible and can do super cool stuff, but they're never gonna hire me.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a reality. I just wanna be in the industry. Like I mean, I'm very very lucky and happy that I am in stunts. Like don't get me wrong, I get some really good jobs in the past, and mainly because I speak Russian, not because of my skills. But
that's a skill.
Yeah, that is a skill. But in general, it would be greater to be hired because of what you can do as a presenter, as a performer, instead of how you look or how tall you are.
Yeah, but then that's the entertainment business all around.
That's just the way it is.
Not necessarily being the best at anything. It's
exactly.
Just,
that's the way it is. Great. And then you got there, but how did you get into stunts?
So while I was going through this whole process and sort of struggling, I did some extra work as an essay on a program called The Bill. Mm-hmm. And this is another good story of sort of fate and destiny.
Go for it.
I was there as an extra, and there was a stunt being performed on set that day, and it was Glenn Marks, who of course I know now well from being in the industry. But at the time, I didn't know who the hell it was. And he was doing a car knockdown, but it wasn't even a car knockdown. It was literally standing on the back of a platform that was attached to a car. And as the car reversed, he had to jump back onto the windshield as if he'd been hit by the reversing car. And I don't know why it hadn't occurred to me before. I don't know why, even though people had spoken about me doing stunts and perhaps I should get into it, it's like the penny dropped. Because when I saw him do that, I was like, well, I can do that.
And much better.
And with a double twist. And I'm getting paid £64.50 for the day, and he's probably getting $1,000, or whatever he was getting for it. Yeah. And it was probably close to $1,000, yeah. And I was like, this is insane. And that's when I started to train for the stunt register. So Glenn Marks did have some...
Shout out to Glenn Marks.
bearing on the fact that, yes, it really sort of made me wake up, smell the coffee, and get on with the training. And that's how I got into stunts.
Right, and that's why also, like, how easy was for you to find out all the ropes and where do you do the, because for British Stunt Register you need to do the skills, right now it's 6, was it the same thing when you were?
6 disciplines.
6 disciplines, yeah.
And you had to do 6 disciplines, and I think it's no 2 from any one category, right? No more than 2 from any one category.
Yeah. So water,
so you've got
and
strength and agility.
Yeah.
Vehicles and horses, water skills, scuba diving, and then you've got
climbing,
fighting skills.
Yeah, and fighting stuff as well. Yeah. So yeah, how easy was for you to find out who to talk to? Did you talk there on the spot with Glenn or?
No. I didn't approach Glenn. I just had been made aware of the register from various people along the way. Dave Fisher was one person that when I did another pantomime season with Dave Fisher, and he was really sort of pushing me to do it because he said, "You've got all the skills. Why don't you just do it?" And then so he told me to contact Equity, and then Equity then forwarded me on the literature to what I needed. Today, you just go to the stunt register directly, and they will give you the information that you need. But it's still pretty much the same, and even though the skill levels have changed slightly and the specifics,
right. But I think the biggest difference is between of how hidden it was. No one really knew.
Oh, totally. Back then.
Yeah.
I can see where you're getting at. Yeah. Back then, it was like you didn't know.
It's like a unicorn.
Yeah, it was. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack, and it was
Sasquatch.
you had to really fill your way, do the research, try and find a club that did the levels or the system that you needed. And it was really difficult to find. Now, of course, it's an open book, and everybody knows everybody and knows where to train. And lots of you new guys, you all train together, so you know each other even before you get on the register.
Yeah, that's one thing. Another thing is like because of social media, people can find out straight away things.
Absolutely.
So if someone posts like, oh, like they did the movie, whatever, I do that sometimes as well. Like I did like Fight with Enola Holmes on that show, and then I would post it, and people would be like, oh, how did you go? What is this? And oh yeah, stunts. Oh, you need to qualify. Oh, you need to be a SAR. Look it up, and boom, 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 like this. But back in the days, then it's like
you were solo.
Totally
you were
different
on your
story.
own, and you didn't know anybody else that was training. Well, I certainly didn't anyway. So I did all the training, and I haven't really looked back. I mean, it's
about
again,
25 years.
25 years I've been on the stunt register. Yeah. So
that's amazing.
It's been all right. Yeah, but it was really difficult in the industry back then because it was so quiet. We didn't have the tax incentives that we did around sort of 2009, 2010 when everything really kicked off after the Harry Potters. And, since then, it's just got busier and busier and busier. So, there were just a handful of people that really went from job to job to job. And to get a look in with any of the stunt coordinators was tough. I mean, you'd call them and they'd just tell you to sling your hook, really, basically. Well, they'd be really rude to you and say, well, don't give up your day job because the chances of you working are pretty, slim. And they loved it. They loved lauding that sort of, I don't know, the bad news over you and the sort of a bully boy tactics.
So now when you're a stunt coordinator, do you do that to people
no,
who
not
call
at
you?
all. No. I'm so encouraging. Because there's
I remember what they did to me.
No, but there are some coordinators like that want to hand it down. I'm not going to hand that down to people because I one thing I've learned is really there is room for everybody, and there's no need to be backstabbing and throw your toys out your pram or be mean and nasty and horrible because there's room for everyone and
especially
it should be a great place to go to work. Not because some of the early jobs were when you went to work you were shitting yourself. You were like, oh God, is the coordinator going to pick on me today? Is it going to be an easy day? It's going to be tough. And now I love going to work. I work for fantastic coordinators. You have a laugh. I mean, it's make believe after all. Yes, we put in the hard work and there are knocks to be taken and you've got to use your skills and it's dangerous. Let's not forget that, some people don't make it home. That we've got to remember stunts is, it's a very elite profession and it's dangerous. But it is fun and I do really enjoy it. And a lot of that is because attitudes have changed now and the coordinators that have come through are not real old schools. Make your life
and for you,
misery.
that transition for you being a performer and to being a stunt coordinator, how did that the first couple of times? How did that felt like? Because now you are in charge. You taking that responsibility. You have to make sure that like everything is set, and if anyone gets injured, or whatever, that is kind of on your shoulders. How was that?
Well, for the longest time, I didn't want to be a coordinator. I'll be honest. It was like, okay, I'm quite happy jumping around, and because I could,
now you can do it.
No, I still can, but there comes a point where you really have to nurture that side of your career because you won't be able to jump around forever, and it's just a natural progression. You know, and there are people coming through the door who are better, stronger, faster, better looking,
taller.
More skilled, etc. And so it was just it's a natural progression. And eventually, I realized I had to sort of take the bull by the horns and eventually start to go down that route myself. And it was the strangest thing about the transition between being a performer and a coordinator was the fact that I was so. And people were coming up to me after the job going, thank you so much, that was amazing. And I was like, but I didn't do it.
You did it.
Renars did. And yeah, I was getting all the credit. Yes, you put the stuff together, you've done the risk assessments and you've liaised with everybody to make it safe and everything. And I've come to sort of embrace that now. But initially that was very strange that I got the credit when it was the performer that did something. If for the longest time, it was hard for me to sort of get my head around the fact that, you know, you were the creative one because you'd done the stunt, and I was so used to being on that end, but I didn't see the creative part of being the coordinator straight away.
Yeah. It took a little bit of time.
Yeah, a little bit to get used to, and then realizing, you know what a tough job it is, and also, you know, the huge amounts of responsibility.
But in the same time, you just said like how difficult it is, how tough it is to be on a set where you know that coordinator can, I don't know, pick on you and say something and do these whatever things, but doesn't make you feel comfortable. So that's straight away your performance suffers, your whole well-being suffers, right? But then when you as a coordinator, you create this really great atmosphere. We can work, we can relax, we can do our thing, we can laugh when it's okay to laugh, and we have to be serious when we're serious, you know? And one of the things what I noticed, I'm not going to call the names and stuff, but there are some coordinators, they're like, it's always have to be serious. There's no laugh, there's no joking around. It's like, what? And then with other coordinators, yes, we laugh, we joke around, but when we do the job, we do the job. And that's how it should be in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, when it's time to step up to the mark, you've got to be able to
exactly,
do it and
100%.
pull out the aces when the time is
100%.
right. But, you know, you don't get the best out of someone by threatening them.
I think you get
them.
worse. Like they get all stressed.
Well, that's right.
And
you can't relax, and
exactly.
you know, you really have to be 100% focused and give 110% of yourself when you're doing stunts. So if you're not able to relax because your coordinator isn't being very nice to you, or you feel like, you know, you can't concentrate because you're worried about whatever he or she is going to do, or they these days, and it's you can't give your 110%, which you have to. Like in sport, you got to be 100% focused. Because that's when the accidents happen. And with stunts, as you know, and being a coordinator, even the simplest stunts can go wrong. And usually it is the ones that aren't so dangerous where the accidents can happen. I mean, there's been, you know, huge stunt stars, you know, who are celebrities in our industry who have died just going back to ones, you know, resetting. Yeah. So you just never know. You can never take anything for granted.
100%. Great. Let's have a little break.
Okay. And we'll
And we are back. Well, we talked about stunts and the film industry and how harsh and beautiful and amazing it is and all those things together. So also, like, how long you been stunt coordinating now? When was your actually first stunt coordinating job? 2017. How was that, like, that first experience of like, you're in charge now?
It was good. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I was completely alien to it. You know, I've been surrounded with it for the last 25 years. It was just a strange feeling, really, just being in charge. And the way that the stunt industry and British Stunt Register in particular, which is why we are the official body really in the UK for stunts, is because we have a structured career path, and the training and then the career ladder prepares you to eventually become a coordinator where you are equipped to have other people's lives in your hands. And that's why we are so unique and the best at what we do, because we have that structure. Like nobody else can say that. And we have the best trained professionals, and we bring on those professionals with extra training to be able to develop their performance, keep them safe, keep others safe, and ultimately we're the best at what we do.
Yeah, definitely can agree about the safety. I think I got all my injuries before I became a stuntman. Because the health and safety in the United Kingdom is very, very high level. So anything what we do, we rehearse so many times to foresee or to predict any kind of other things could go wrong, and that is great. That's a big one.
Yeah, so it prepares you. So, you know, to answer that question, it just shows that the system that we have in place with the British Stunt Register, it works.
Okay, let's talk about presenting wildlife and I checked some of your videos. I've really enjoyed them. Very cute and interesting and informative, which is like that's the most important. What it is, it's not only about like a little bit of show. It's about information to understand what is going on with certain species and certain like endangered species in specific. So how did that journey started for you?
Okay, again, it's one of those fate and destiny things. I eventually moved to Hollywood. So again, it shows how the journey progressed and everything came full circle. So my dream was to go to Hollywood, and I packed my bags when I was 21, and of course I couldn't work there or anything, and it was a stupid thing to do. But fast forward the clock, all those years later, I had joined the Stunt Register. I was successful in the entertainment business in this country and created a body of work, which then eventually prepared my case to get my green card so I could go and work in Hollywood. So
how many years later?
It all came full circle. So we're talking 10 years later, really.
Decade,
after 10 years of hard graft, I made my dream come true of working in Hollywood. And now I do that all the time, which is, again, hopefully an inspiration to those out there, that it is possible. Just keep pushing. And I never lost sight of that prize because, again, that was my biggest inspiration as a kid, was to get there. And that was the stamp, the seal of approval really for myself, not for anybody else, myself, that I was, I'd reached a point where that I was happy with. But anyway, so I was working in LA, and the transition over there was very difficult because you're a pretty big fish in a small pond over here in the stunt industry because, there's only like 400 or back then 400 like-minded, physically able-bodied people like yourself doing that particular thing. But in the States, you're a tiny fish in a huge pond. I mean,
really?
There's so many people doing it.
What's the number if you
I
would
have
guess?
no idea because it's a free-for-all in the States. That's the difficult thing, is that anybody could be a stuntman. They don't have this join the stunt register with 6 disciplines. Anyone can say they're a stuntman, and that's what's really tough over there for them. They revere our system because they just don't know who they're getting half the time. They're just taking a chance on somebody that says they can do it, and perhaps they can't. But with us over here, we have that training, we have that strict career path that you have to follow, and a coordinator over here knows when they get someone from the register, and they are a trained professional, and they've got a certain degree of skills that they know they can use and make the job happen. But in the States, that's just not the case. And unfortunately, a lot of the time in the States, they use their best friend. They'll say, you can do it, because it's not that, some of it's not that hard, There are those jobs where anybody could do it. And then they're a stuntman, and it takes up all the positions that would be available. They're just gone. And it's really, really tough to get a foothold in the States because there are just so many people.
Right.
So, anyway.
Sorry, before you continue, I was just wondering about that. Okay, so they put their friends forward, but very often, as you say, like someone could just rock up, I'm a stuntman. And they just take them? Like, how would they check, like, anything? Like, they probably would ask some video, show us, like, what have you done in the past? Yeah. Things like that.
You show up, you hustle sets, or you used to before COVID. You'd literally take your headshot, resume, and a show reel to meet the stunt coordinator on set. So you'd literally try and find out what all the productions were, and you'd rock up to set and hopefully get to meet the stunt coordinator and give them your stuff, your show reel. So, you in that respect, they could see at least from your reel if you're any good or what you've done in the past. But you know how that is.
Yeah. Because I think the biggest one would be like danger, especially like if you're a stunt coordinator, someone comes, shows their reel, okay, it's kind of okay, and then they get some nasty injuries, or like, what do you do then?
Well, I mean, that's half the thing. You don't know who you're getting and whether what you see on the reel was 10 years ago or up to date. So it can be. But then you're known, you get known. The States for me is like concentric circles. You've got the middle, which is the people that work all the time and they know each other, they train in the same places, and then you've got the periphery and people around that, and the hard part is infiltrating to get to the center. So you then start to ally yourself with people, training places. You get known where you're training, and then they see what you can do. So there is a lot of word of mouth that happens. And, you know, I'm not saying that the level of performance are not good in the States. They're really good. And I have to say, because the competition is so strong, you know, they really are good. And there's some amazing performers. But when I was trying to make that transition, I'd been on, for this country, in this country were the biggest movies of the time. You know, I was in the Harry Potter franchises, and I just imagined my career would sort of go on this steep trajectory upwards, and I'd reach the dizzy heights of what I had just imagined that Hollywood.
Yeah, did you have the
would
red
offer.
carpet every time when you get on the set? Like, this is Nicholas Daines.
No, not
Oh, hail, Nicholas Daines.
It was just in my, you know, I just imagined it would be a different journey.
Yeah.
But life has a way of showing you and knocking you to your knees that, you know, that's not the way it's going to be. So I really struggled when I first moved to Hollywood, because when you come in from the outside, you're just another number that's annoying. Because,
because another competition as well.
Yeah. And also, you know, they think, you're coming from outside, you're stealing our work. And
you speak very posh English.
Well, that's it. I stick out like a sore thumb, you know. It's not like I can pretend that I was anything but myself and English. And, you know, it was really hard. You know, coordinators over there, I'd show them my headshot reel and resume, and then I'd be back on the set the next day as an extra, because that's how I got to meet them. Yeah. And I'd just find it in the bin, ripped up and in the bin. Yeah, so that was tough.
Assholes.
There were some real assholes. And it was just... It's kind of cutthroat in that respect. So
there should be a little video where you like go in a bin and just like you pick it up and the tear just goes down and you're like, the grind continues.
Well, that happened. That really did happen. So anyway, I struggled, and again, I'm always one to be having something on the back burner, trying all different things, and I try and use the best of what I've got, and I'm resourceful. And I was talking to a friend who's actually a director for a magazine show in Cape Town, South Africa, and he was trying to come up with a stunt segment for the show, and I helped him create this segment, and obviously I wrote it for myself, really, to do the stunts so that I could, number one, have a job.
And the guy, a performer, has to be 5'7" tall, definitely.
Pretty much.
Otherwise, this is not going to work.
It was, yeah.
It has to have like English accent.
Wow. It was basically for Top Billing, which is a very popular magazine show over there. And it was teaching the host of the show, Jeannie D, how to do stunts, basically. And it was a kind of a one-upmanship. So she meets me driving a car and she knocks me over accidentally, and I'm the stuntman that she's come to meet. Okay. And then she would set her arm on fire, I would set my whole body on fire, she'd jump off a little shed like we're in, and then I would jump off a building. So it was just a display of one-upmanship and showing how we do each one of those stunts, from a car knockdown, fire burn, and a high fall. So it was a really cool segment, and I got to do all those in one day, which you never get to do. So it was a really busy day, plus it was in Cape Town, South Africa. You know, it was a really cool job. But, so that was while I was struggling in LA, I got the opportunity to do that. So I went over to Cape Town to do that. And it was while I did that segment with Jeannie D, watching her be the presenter, I got that same overwhelming sense of, oh my God, this is what I want to do. This is my next thing, you know? This is meant to be.
Light bulb.
Yeah, it was. It was like that. Again, that sort of slamming the door. This is the path that I would like to go. Because at that point, I thought it was just stunt. But actually, I realized there was, again, another facet to the industry where I wanted to pursue. Yeah. Another door opens. So that's where it started. And then from there, again, really random, couldn't make it up stuff. I made a behind the scenes video of that, of doing these various stunts. And I sent that out to all the presenting agencies in this country. And I sent it off to David Foster Management, which is a wildlife agency. And they asked if I could do a segment on fungus. They liked my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was my specialization at university. So of course,
and you're fun, and you're a fun guy as well.
I'm a very fun guy to be with.
And hey,
it was so full, the segment, there wasn't much room for anything else.
Hey, oh, another one.
So I did it.
Wait. Say it again.
What?
Say it again. There was not.
Oh, the segment that I did for them, it was so full that there wasn't much room for anything else.
There you go.
Oh, God.
That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah, so I did it, and of course they took me on. I wanted to be a presenter, and then I sort of focused in on being a wildlife presenter, because obviously I am a microbiologist, and I did animal physiology as well. And I've always been keen on wildlife my whole life. I've been fascinated by it, and it has actually been a huge part of my life when I look back.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started to hone in on being a wildlife presenter, and I then got in with a charity for orangutans who took me over to Borneo. And again, you couldn't make it up. I've just decided I want to be a presenter. I've managed to get myself an agent, and then I'm in the jungle in Borneo presenting about orangutans. It was crazy. And that's basically, again, one of those sort of trajectories and pathways. You just can't make it up. I mean, it felt like it was meant to be. And I still feel like it's meant to be. And obviously from that, I then went on to create and produce my own mini-series called Destination Conservation, which I am still plugging, which is basically something I am very, very passionate about, which is getting the next generation and kids involved with conservation of endangered species. You know, we really are not getting the messages across. We're not giving them the tools that they will need to clear up the mess that we have made. So, you know, you can watch all these wonderful BBC glossy shows, but really, if we're not teaching the next generation what these animals are facing, the problems that they have on a ground level, if they can't tell the difference between a leopard and a cheetah, what's the point? Game over. If they don't even know where they live or whether they're endangered, how can they save them? We're really failing them. And, you know, when I was working for the Orangutan charity, I just realized that is really missing. Yeah. And why isn't this everybody's problem? Everybody should be, you know, involved, you know. And I think what really spurred me on was working for the charity. I realized they wanted to keep it like this. Like, yeah, give us your money, we'll deal with it. And I there was me thinking, no, this should be everybody's problem, you know. And if I don't know about this, and I'm an educated microbiologist and wildlife biologist, and I don't really fully understand the problems that we're facing. It was like an awakening for myself. Yeah. So to be able to take people on that journey, that's always been my thing as a presenter. I think that's what I meant to do, is take people as I learn on this journey. And it was like that for me with the charity. I just wanted to blow the whole thing open and get a bigger platform so that everybody could understand, really raise this awareness, but do it on a level where, you know, everyone can get involved to a degree, whether it's, and shifting their consciousness, like mine had been shifted. So that was my real thing, was just to really, I wanted a bigger platform, and that's when I created Destination Conservation and came up with the idea. But really, it is about the next generation. We really have to hand these tools down, and I was lucky enough to make that a reality and make my own show with it. But I still think, you know, and when I was in the jungle making it, it was at the time of Greta Thunberg, with kids taking charge of their planet, you know, not going to school and defying everybody, saying, you know, we want clean air, we want a world to look forward to. And I was thinking, God, people are going to bite my hand off for this, because it was taking kids, taking charge of the planet and helping endangered species. And yet not really, it didn't happen that way. I'm still pushing for it, and I still think it's something that really needs to happen. Whether it's in a different format, or we remake it or whatever, but it's definitely something that needs to happen and happen now.
Yeah, I definitely agree that these kind of television shows and this kind of interaction can expose and tell the story and what is going on. But also, what would be the next step? How do we get those kids away from those phones, away from, and actually get them to that nature? Because the problem I have with is, yes, we can show that on TV, we can tell about it, they can look in their phones, but the reality is, if they are not actually there seeing those animals, almost like, obviously not everyone can be in close proximity and touching them, whatever, but having that closer interaction. It's like, that old tale about when kids in Western countries don't finish their food, there's like, oh, but there's so many other kids in other countries who are starving. Finish your food. Like, for that kid, that just becomes like kind of this novelty, like what exactly that means. And then when I went to Jakarta in Indonesia, and I remember I went for a little trip on a scooter, and I went to the slums, and I went to these slums, and I was just like curious to see how it looks there. And I was seeing like this, these very dirty canals, and they have these floats where the garbage is sitting on those floats. And these kids, like, just like no really clothes, like dirty, like running around, the biggest smiles on their faces, right? So the idea, like how I thought, one day when I have kids, I would love to take them there to, introduce with those kids, play with them, just to see around and to show them what it means to be here and to appreciate what we have in our developing countries. So I'm wondering if there could be some kind of a similar approach to getting more that awareness of that there are species who are literally dying out. Something like what you on an everyday basis, if you would tell to a child, all the cats are dying out right now. That your friend cat, whatever whiskers you call it, it's gonna die out because we don't take care of it. So the child will understand straight away. Oh, well, what can we do to help this cat or the dog? But those are here. But how do we create that more awareness of like bringing these kids and showing them what it is? So do you think that would be like some kind of in the schools they should be talking more about it, showing more videos and showing?
Definitely. Education is key.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the number one priority, and it should be everybody's priority. And the awareness. And the fact, yes, we should be educating our kids in the schools, really, and getting down to a more a nitty-gritty level, of understanding what these problems are. I mean, we didn't talk about those things when I was going through school, and, but that's where things like touch programs, a lot of people don't agree with that. Conservation is a very, very complex issue.
Yeah.
It is not one hard and fast thing. And my ideas are, perhaps not aligned with staunch conservationists who say, that they don't want anything to do with touch programs. But, I have been to cheetah touch programs where the money that is raised from these ambassador species that were raised in captivity and can never be released back into the wild anyway, by kids coming to learn with them, having that interaction with them, like stroking them, or they become interested. They learn, they then go away and then they learn about that animal. They then have the shift of consciousness to want to protect that animal. And then the money from the touch programs goes towards funding Anatolian guard dogs for non-lethal protection of the cheetahs in the wild. So what's happening with cheetahs in the wild is the fact that farmers are losing their livestock to cheetahs, and they're taking the law into their own hands and shooting the cheetahs. Yeah. And that's, ultimately, apart from all human activity and land fragmentation and habitat loss, etc., that's what's driving them into extinction. So we have to look for other non-lethal ways of guarding livestock, which they use these Anatolian guard dogs to do. And this whole touch program feeds into that system. So the kid gets the education, the awareness, the money then funds the project, and then the kid has the shift of consciousness to understand what the problems that cheetah is facing and to want to protect it. So it's a very complex issue, like you say. So, but I think, you know, a lot of zoos have touch programs. I know people don't agree with zoos, but, you know, on many levels, they are the last bastions of conservation. You know, there are species there that kids will only ever see.
Yeah.
There are many species that won't be alive when they are adults, and that's the truth. They are dying out at a rate of knots. You know, it's a bad situation, and we really need to sit up and make this a priority for them.
Because I think like the alternative, you know, some of the zoos are very, very sad. Like the spaces there are just so minuscule, and it's scary to see that. But then there are more and more, as I understand, they don't call them zoos anymore. They call them like a wild reservations where it's a much more space for them to roam and to run and to do their thing. In the UK, there are a couple places like that. I think I went to one.
There are, you know, like I say, it's a really complex issue. And yes, there are bad zoos, but you can't judge everything by that. And, you know, SeaWorld having cetaceans in captivity, I do not agree with that at all. Having any cetaceans in captivity, I do not agree with. But SeaWorld are also doing some great conservation work. I went over there recently to cover their work with manatees, rescuing and releasing manatees, because they're having a really hard time at the moment in Florida because of all the pollution going into the water, the increased levels of nitrogen, fueling these algae blooms, which are taking the oxygen out of the water so the plants don't grow, and the manatees, when they migrate, have got nothing to feed on, and they're dying by the droves. You know, but SeaWorld are doing some good things. So you can't just lump everything in together and say zoos are bad, these people are bad, because yes, they might have things slightly. You don't know what the story is a lot of the time as well. I mean, there was a deaf dolphin that was there and had been brought in, and it could not go back into the wild. So it wouldn't use echolocation or sonar location, and it was just going to die. I mean, yes, and there are trains of thoughts in conservation that perhaps, you know, rescue release is not the way forward, you know, and maybe euthanasia is, you know, there is no hard and fast answer, but education and awareness is definitely key. Yeah. So, you know, if we can, zoos are I think, like I said, the last bastions of conservation and a necessary evil, if that's what you think. But we need to get them involved, and we're not doing that. And like you say, taking them away from the computer, making sure that we really give them the knowledge, awareness, and tools that they need. Because the show shows the arc of the learning of the kids there were 2 American kids, not remotely, they didn't even know what an orangutan was, let alone being endangered. And to watch their journey and their arc of learning and understanding, and suddenly not worried about the computer or driving their cars and doing donuts and stuff.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is when you say like the kids don't know what orangutans are, so many kids don't know what cow looks like.
Well, this is it.
You know,
we're failing them. We're failing them.
We have that saying back in Latvia. I remember in the city, kids would say, milk comes out of the pack or out of the bottle, not out of the cow's udder. Like, I was so lucky growing up in a farm. I would be milking a cow. We would have chicken. We would have goats. You learn the empathy. You learn how loving the animals are. So many kids would be just afraid from a cow. Cows are so just like loving and nurturing. And they, sometimes when you're upset, I would be upset and I just like, I don't know what to, like, just feeling shitty. And my neighbors said to me, like, just go hang out with your cow. Just stroke your cow. And they're going to sense, and they literally sense it. Yeah. When you're upset, I would be standing there crying as a kid, and cow turns to you with these big eyes and just like, this like gives you this crazy love. It's insane. It's insane. When we talk, cats and dogs, yes, but listen, like chickens give you the best cuddles.
Well, you know, it's a sign of the time, you know, everywhere's being built up. Everywhere's almost, you know, being paved over. Yeah. That, you know, we don't have that unless you live in rural areas.
Exactly.
You are lacking that connection with nature. And that's apparent. You know, there is that detachment which is happening, which we need to address and really get, you know, the next generation involved.
And it's interesting also the whole thing about the zoos. Yeah, I also disagree with the zoos, big time. But what's the alternative? If you take the zoos away, there's going to be some kids who would never see how does the fox looks like, or how does the wolf or tiger or any of that. Because like, again, back where I grew up, like we had this one zoo and like so many kids go through, they're like, oh, that's lion, that's that. You take that away, they most likely, their parents wouldn't be able to afford to go to safari in Africa or any of those alternatives. Like, what do we do then? So like, what do you think would be the solution to create these zoos but bigger, like somehow? But then like, where do we get finances? How do we tackle that issue?
Well, I mean, gosh, I mean that's
it's a huge
that's
subject.
outside of my my scope of like, you know.
Because I think even the farms, I think even the pet farms would be amazing thing to have more of those.
We have a lot of those petting zoos. They're called petting zoos with the farms. And I think they're great. Like I said, they're touch programs. It gets them connected to nature. And I think a lot more emphasis on that is what we need.
Yeah. A couple of days ago, we went, because I just got back from Bournemouth. We were at the ocean side, and there's this like, these goats are roaming around behind the fence. And my friend, she comes over. It was like, what do you do? I was like chilling with a goat. And she's like, oh my God, this goat stinks. I grew up in a farm, so we had goats. And male goat, in order to create that stench, they pee on themselves. They soil themselves. So they have this attraction, whatever. And this girl, growing up in London, she was never exposed to, goats. And especially the male goats. And she's like, how come this thing stinks so bad? I knew it because I grew up and in that environment. And people are very detached from animals, from the nature, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's so apparent, and God, I could.
There's lots to talk about. How about we find one of the videos of you, then we could do a little commenting. Okay, so what are we gonna be watching now?
So. You have to go back to the beginning. Right.
Yeah, we're going to go back to the beginning. Okay.
This is the trailer for Destination Conservation, which is the show I created. And yeah, you're going to see, just a little taster of what it is all about and, why it's so important.
Fantastic. And anytime you wanted to give me a comment, just let me know. We'll stop it. And then we can talk about it. Yeah.
My name's Nicholas Daines, wildlife biologist and professional stuntman. Over the years, my adventures have brought me face to face with the wild and wonderful animals that share this extraordinary planet with us.
Jeez, that's beautiful.
But natural habitats are shrinking and animals are disappearing. It's time to roll up our sleeves and protect the planet's creatures for generations to come. Helping me rescue and release the world's most endangered animals are young conservation rangers from across the globe. This is Destination Conservation.
Before all this, I never really knew what was happening with the orangutans. I never knew that they were in this much danger.
We've already lost thousands of animals on this planet, and they're never going to come back, ever. Sun bears could be one of them.
When a pygmy elephant is shot or poisoned, it leaves babies without a mother or a herd. But there is a solution: to demand sustainability.
This is a really fantastic organisation that you've got going here. It's great to see people from around the world working together for the same cause, isn't it?
We should this more often.
So it's only recently that people are really latching onto it and understanding the problems. That's what we need, isn't it? We need to connect forests with these corridors so that you can have a free movement of wildlife. This is a palm oil plantation, and these are the trees that are grown to produce palm oil, which is in such worldwide demand. It's a huge concern for the wildlife here because they can't really be sustained in these palm oil forests. They don't contain the fruit that they feed on and the wide variety of leaves and shoots that they need. But it's a complex issue because the people of Malaysia and Borneo make their living from palm oil. So it's very much, we have to balance the situation.
Amazing how people think of these very, very simple things that help in such a big way.
This island is just single-handedly pushing back against the extinction of these animals. There's so many right here.
You have to do all of it, good and bad, if you're really passionate about it. One of the most exciting experiences of your life, and
You're definitely gonna remember this for the rest of your life.
nobody said it was going to be easy. It is going to be hard work, but it's going to pay off at the end because you've just helped an endangered species.
I actually get like emotional watching that.
I got emotional watching it.
You know, it's just to watch that journey of the kids. You know, seeing here, if you had the cameras, I was like, I mean, trying to hold back just because it is so important, and the journey that they went on. It's just, and the fact that we are just failing the next generation so badly, and yet you try and push this to networks, and they go, oh yeah, but it's not really what we want right now. You know, it's not really what the.
Let's have another Love Island.
Yeah, let's do another reality goggle box or whatever. This is real stuff. This is happening now,
and it's freaking beautiful.
And we need it now more than ever. Anyway, so you know the thing is, it's still relevant. It's not like I made it and it's going to go anywhere. The situation's only getting worse. So it's not like it doesn't have a shelf life. You know, this is the things that are endangered there are still endangered and probably even worse. So, you know, this is what we really need right now. And it just infuriates me that, you know, you try and push this and networks just go, oh, yeah, but, you know.
Yeah, because all they care is numbers. All they care is numbers.
Videos or something. Yeah.
But all they care is numbers. And like for you, I mean, one thing is great about nowadays that you can go do this yourself on creating YouTube and but just figuring out how to sell it. And we talked about this earlier. This is not that easy, but there is a way to do it. And obviously, I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to push, and I think that the channel should be taking that. But it's just like we have at least alternative we have other option to, you know, go and spread the word.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on the YouTube stuff, you know, in terms of still working with endangered species, but just trying to do it myself. But obviously, you know, the whole point is to have a bigger platform that you can really, blow the whole thing over, get everybody involved. You know, part of the show was to show how people could join volunteer programs to work with these animals, to make it everybody's problem. You know, these kids are working on volunteer projects, like on Turtle Island. You can volunteer with the turtles, collect the turtle eggs. There are many, many things you can do to get involved. And that's also what the show was to do, and really highlight organizations that allow that, so that people can really, like I say, roll up their sleeves, get involved, and make this everybody's problem. It shouldn't be all about, you know, well, give us your money and we'll deal with it. Because they don't, because they're so corrupt to most of these big organizations anyway. If we all stand up together and create a position and where we're all doing something about it, and not just relying on people to do it when they're not. Make it everybody's problem.
It's really frustrating just to think about how for humanity there are other more important things than our neighbors, our other species around us, who make this world so much more beautiful, so much with bigger variety and things we can learn from these whole animals. It's very mind-boggling how that is not a priority.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at the state of the world today with climate change, and tomorrow, yeah, we'll do it. We want to, but you know, it's now. It has to be now.
It has to be now.
And people, I really sort of, I'm almost on the side where it's, you know, it has to be right now, or it is too late. Yeah. And everyone says, oh yeah, there's hope, we can turn it around. But if we don't start and do it now, then it really is too late.
So what are at the moment some of the biggest and strongest organizations who do something about it? There's actually something is happening.
Well, you know, there are a lot of people that are doing good work, but it needs funding, and it needs the fact that we are all involved, and it's everybody's problem. You know, if I think it's just so any one organization, you know, you've got the Worldwide Fund for Nature, which are doing great things. You've got many different organizations. My mind's gone blank now.
Yeah, that's all right. You can think about those,
yeah.
but for example, like
cut that out.
in this case,
don't answer that question.
Don't worry about it. In this case, I can honestly say that like those kids, yes, it's definitely going to change their lives.
Well, it is life changing.
It's life changing experience.
Life changing.
But the question is, how can we get more kids to get exposed to this kind of experience? And this is the main challenge.
By a show like that, kids watching it at home with their parents can say, well, these kids are taking part in it. I want to do that. It shifts their consciousness. It makes them aware that they are able to perhaps learn about these creatures, and then when they're old enough, get involved in volunteer programs. Or 100%. You know, from this, parents can take their children and get them to do a holiday together, an ecotourism holiday where they're doing something good, whether it is collecting rubbish on the beach, making them aware when they go away on holiday. Just something like that. I was just in the Dominican Republic on a pristine turtle beach that was covered in litter, and I was spending my days picking up the litter. You might have seen me on YouTube going over ranting and raving about the fact that there's so much litter, and that's a turtle nesting beach. We should be doing things like that, you know, where there's these massive initiatives to make sure there are bins everywhere so there is no litter, making people aware that you have to put it in the bin. The sea cannot take any more plastic. One story, just quickly, was I was in the Dominican Republic doing an excursion, and there was this guy from Montreal with his girlfriend. And afterwards we're going home, and there's, you know, the free rum and Coke at the end of the trip, and his cup just fell out of his hand and blew. And I said, quick, grab your cup before it goes into the sea. And he was like, you know. Yeah. There was no urgency. There was no understanding. You could see it. It was he did not grasp the fact that the sea doesn't need one more cup. The dangers that it represents towards any of the sea life, turtles, whales, dolphins. He just didn't get it. And that was a 20-something, maybe 25, 26-year-old. Yeah. Just didn't really get it. And that's why I know we are just failing the next generation. Because if he didn't, growing up in a time when, you know, all these things are very apparent, doesn't really get it. It's like, it's just one more cup. What does that matter?
It's I just want to scream sometimes as well when I see these kind of things. But in the same time, would you agree? Well, it's not would you agree or not agree. It's a fact that biggest polluters are usually the poor countries.
Yes,
countries
definitely.
Like India, like China, they're the biggest contributors to pollution. I saw that in the first place when I did kind of a Vietnam trip. I was like going through from Da Nang all the way to Ho Chi Minh City, riding a scooter, and I would go all these beaches and stuff, and people would litter everywhere, and they would not care. And this is like how we have those different levels of consciousness, right? When we care about certain things, like the Maslow's pyramid or whatever it's called. It's basically like I need to make sure that I have shelter, that I have food to put on the table. And then I think about further and further things, what can be more important, and it's about awareness of like where we live and what we contribute. But I think these countries are literally fighting for the basic stuff. And the last thing they think about is like, oh, should I throw my rubbish or should I not throw my rubbish? And that is a way different problem. You know, so it's like the better developed or the Western countries should be showing example to poor countries how it's done. But poor countries going to say like, listen, guys, we have different priorities.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very complex issue.
Very complex.
But it starts with everybody, whether they're in your third world or not. It's just an education and pointing it out and showing what the repercussions are. I mean, we're already seeing it on a daily basis. The world's on fire. Yeah. You know, and if that isn't a wake up call that we just have to do something now, then you know, I don't know what is.
It's almost like you have to just create this. It's trendy now. Everyone pick up their litter. That's trendy. Get all the celebrities and Biebers and stuff and picking up litter and saying like, guys, this is cool now. Let's do that. Everyone together.
Yeah, but it's always been cool. It's but I know what you're saying. Yeah, get the celebrities involved. Yes, for sure. But it should be everybody's problem, and not just left to it only happens to them and they have to deal with it. But no, we all have to get involved.
I totally agree. I'm just thinking about what are the, as you said, like this is awareness, education. What are the tunnels we can go through? Because even things like growing up again in Eastern Europe, Northern Europe, the concept that you see a rubbish on the street and you you just take it and put it in a bin. I never experienced that. Only when I moved to UK and I was hanging out with one of the stunt guys, Mike Snow. Shout out to Mike Snow, amazing, lovely guy, crazy free runner. He's an Australian stunt guy. And he would just come, he sees the rubbish on the street, he just picks it and puts it in a bin. And the first time I saw it, I was like, me with a master's degree, travel the world, see things. Even I was like, why would he pick up someone else's rubbish? But then it's like, but it's nice, it's good.
Yeah, and then that makes you think.
Exactly.
And then you can carry on with that train of thought, and then the next time you'll do it, and then you'll affect somebody else.
Exactly.
And
the best thing was like literally a week later, 2 weeks later, I would see a rubbish. I would see not far away from a bin. In the beginning, I was like, I'm just gonna pass by, and I was like, no, go pick it up.
Yeah, it's
I'll
just
come
laziness.
back and pick it up.
Humans are inherently lazy.
Yeah,
and that's part of the reason why we are in the mess we're in. But going back to your point of what we can do, it is the small things. If we've got 1 million people doing something imperfectly, it's better than 1 million people, one person doing it perfectly. Sorry. So going back to your point was, if we have 1 million people doing something imperfectly rather than just one person doing it perfectly, then we're going to make a bigger difference. And there's loads of things you can do locally. It's not just, I'm talking about orangutans and pygmy elephants that are in Borneo or sunbears. There are projects everywhere locally that you can get involved in. Hedgehogs are now endangered in this country. Can you believe it? The hedgehog that we grew up with as kids and is just in every forest is an endangered species. That is crazy to me. So, there's a dormouse project here in the UK you can get involved with. There's lots of organisations on a grassroots level. You don't have to be travelling to Borneo. Yes, I mean, there are lovely exotic creatures and places to go to, but, there are animals all around us that need our help. So get involved locally. And if picking up rubbish might seem like a small thing, but it's huge for all the ecosystems. So, it is the small things that we can do that really make a huge difference.
I would say any parent who sees this and who has kids, they are the ones who should be like, okay, guys, once a week, twice a week, we have this day if we helping, to this shelter, that shelter, or we clean it up, and that's what it has to come from the parents. Because if you see a child being messy or being loud or being whatever, like not behaving, that's I keep repeating it. It's a mirror of the parents. It's their fault kind of thing. You can go and smack those guys around, but that's the way to do it, and then to build that awareness and that we can make a difference, and no matter how small we are.
And the great thing is that although it's kids getting involved in conservation projects with this show, it shows it's actually an education for the parents. It's not limited to being a kid's show, because adults want to get involved too. There's loads of adults and this shows them that it's possible. And then they can, again, shift their consciousness, get involved, and pass that on to their kids. So yes, with the adults as well, we need to do that. And this is such a great vehicle for that. And that's why I keep pushing. It's
also interesting one that I saw this video a while ago now, that somewhere in India, there's this massive river, like a really crazy current, and it has a bridge, and trucks, one by one, just stopping and lifting their cargo and just throwing out all the rubbish. and someone who is like chasing this little bottle of plastic thing to put in the rubbish, they just like look at that video like, really? What are we doing here?
Unfortunately, those atrocities go on every single day,
Yeah.
you know, pumping sewage into the seas. But we can make a difference,
Yeah.
you know, we can have that voice. And if we all stand together, then these governments have to stand up and take notice. But it will start with us. Collectively, we do have that power, but we have to all come together to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm really applauding you for this effort, and this it's
I'm trying.
It's amazing. It's really great, and then you combine it with your presenting and how you take such a great enjoyment of doing presenting. And it's not only about, well, here in Ascot we have some horses running and people make lots of money, but you're actually doing something what is really cool. And I want to show one more video which I thought was really cute with the rhinoceroses and how you were finding a treasure in the rhinoceros's poo.
It was a find, you know. I mean, that's
rhinos.
It might look like a load of shit, but you know, it's actually like I'd say in the video, it's a major communication center and a very useful tracking tool. You know, it has lots of different purposes, and yes, to the outside world, it might look like a load of crap. But
no, listen, someone who grew up on a farm, I know exactly what you're talking about. But I liked how you were just like kind of getting away from it. It's not just shit. There's more to that. If I can pass forward, probably not. Let's see where we're going to get this.
Absolutely incredible.
Oh, here you go.
And another source of communication is the fact that male rhinos will drop their dung and then they will stomp their feet in it so that the scent is still on its feet and then walk to mark their territory as a warning to other male rhinos to stay away who might want to encroach on their females. Because if he does, then he better be strong enough to fend him off, because it will be a major fight. And the other communication tool that this represents is if a young rhino gets separated from its mother. If a calf can't find her, then it can sniff the dung, find the most recent dung droppings, and then hopefully make its way back to its mother. So it serves many purposes and is not just a pile of shit. And this dung, I'm going to put my hand in it, which might seem gross, but it's not.
That's my favorite part.
It's really, really coarse, because rhinos are non-ruminants, which means they don't regurgitate their food another time. It just is eaten once and passes through. So it's full of grass and very, very coarse. So there's a lot of it too, because these.
You see, I try and make it educational as well. That's the thing.
100 kg of.
It is not only like a message, but it's also, I try and make it an education, learning the things that I learn as I go.
100%.
That on.
I was just wondering.
I think that's what I really love about my style of presenting is the fact that I am able to learn and take people on that journey as I go, learning about all these different things. Because I was talking to you earlier, it's like, you know, even being a microbiologist, there are so many different facets of that realm, and they are so specific and in-depth. You know, if you're an enzyme specialist or, you know, a mycologist dealing with fungus, you can't know everything. Even if you're, you know, the most intelligent trained scientist, you know, some things would just have to go because you're so engrossed in what you're doing and it's so niche and you know everything about what you're doing, but, you know, there is so much else that is out there and that you don't know about. So I love to learn myself and I love to take people on that learning journey.
Yeah, it's beautiful, like especially here. But I didn't even know that you can learn so much from animal droppings. I like the shit.
Yeah,
that the baby can find its way back. Then the male can send that the female is in heat.
Yeah,
and all these, it's just crazy. It is so cool. But I almost wanted to, like, if I would be presenting this, I would be like, you would think it's just a pile of shit, but no, no, it's not. Let me just get into it.
The one thing I hate about that video though is the boots.
I actually just started like say like that. Those boots are really cool.
They are horrendous, but obviously
I think no one cares about your boots. It's like all is about the droppings there.
they wouldn't let me wear my boots. I had to wear their boots.
Oh, really?
They had to find
Damn it.
a pair that fit, and of course, with my small feet, I ended up getting some little girl's boots or
Oh
something.
god.
Oh, I shouldn't have drawn attention to that.
No, now everyone is going to be thinking about what are those boots.
They probably thought, oh, they're supposed to be camouflage boots.
Yeah, but yeah, this kind of it's really interesting. It's again like comparing like with cell phones. Now we send a message or whatever, but animals they communicate as well, but in a different way. They have their own way to communicate, and it's very smart and very interesting. Definitely. And I have a story from when I was a kid in our countryside. So we would take cows to the field, and it would be so cold in the morning. I would be bare feet, and I would literally, as soon as the cow does the cake, I would step in that cake because it was nice and warm, and I would just like warm up my feet. You know, if you try to explain that to a city person, they were like, disgusting. Oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. It's warm and nice. And then years later, when I was working on Vikings, we did all night. We were in quarry in the water, so we were freezing. Like it was so cold, even though we had 2 layers of wetsuit. And I remember I was the first one who started peeing in my suit because I was like, it was so cold, and other stunties could see me rolling my eyes. I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I just had to pee. It's so nice and warm." And listen, and they're like, "Oh, it's disgusting." Hour later, I could see everyone is rolling their eyes. Like, what's going on? Yep, you're right. It's much better, nice and warm. Oh. Nature. So I think so many things to learn from. Great. So what is the next now kind of the project or what you're looking for regarding presenting and wildlife preservation?
I love presenting, full stop, and I've done a wine series. So I presented wines of the Amalfi and wines of Sardinia it was for a channel that actually went bust, but that was a really cool experience.
Did they get bust because of your?
No. It was a startup that didn't take off. But you know, that was a really cool experience. I love doing anything. Obviously, nature is my passion, and I've also done stuff behind the scenes of movies that I've made. You know, I've done stuff on the Batman movie. And I anything to do with the entertainment industry. I've got a really good video I love watching. Actually, is A Day in the Life of a Stuntman.
Yeah,
but actually, I was actually doubling Ruth Wilson because Belinda McGinley actually hurt herself rehearsing the high fall in the stunt for the movie. But of course, it was short notice, and they needed somebody who was around that height. They asked a few of the other girls, so just to show that, you know, they didn't just go straight to
this one,
a guy.
A Day in the Life of a Stuntman?
Yes, it's this one. I really enjoy this video. So if you've ever wondered what it...
we need to record.
Okay. So should I just keep talking?
Yeah, keep talking.
Yeah, so Belinda got injured. They asked me last minute. They did go and try and find a girl, because obviously it's not PC to have a guy doubling a woman, but the girls that they offered it to, they said they would like a rehearsal day beforehand just to make sure. Because, you know, when you're falling from heights, you know, above 10 meters, you might want a rehearsal. And they didn't have time for that. So they just needed someone that could do it, come in and get it done. But it was a really interesting behind the scenes video to make, because number one, you're doubling a woman, and you'll see you have to put a bra on and the padded pants and everything. And you're in a nightie with the wig. So there's loads to deal with. And I think it's a very interesting video, thrown in at the deep end, literally showing exactly what you might have to go
recognize that that's you
as a stunt performer. It's a really cool video, I think. I'll shut up now.
No, it's fine. You can still talk. To be fair, I have to be careful. If I play the original sound when I do the podcast, they can flag me because it's already used on the other video on YouTube. So that's what they do.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't even need to show the sound. And to be fair, I'd rather don't.
You could take the sound off and then just have with the pictures, like, because you'll see here, I'm just demonstrating that I've got a padded butt to make myself
there you go.
Have like a woman's bum, and then I've got a padded bra on. It's just, but it was, I did this on off the cuffs. It was literally, I had my camera with me and I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but the way it all came together, I think this is one of my favorite videos just because, number one, it's a cool stunt, but just showing a day in the life of what you might have to go through as a stuntman.
No, it's amazing.
You have to become a stunt woman.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Or a stunt they, I don't know. But it's really,
Because I did something similar in the other job I did as well, and it was so cool afterwards to watch it. Even though I just did it with my phone, nothing professional, it's still cool to look back to those jobs where we've done.
Because you don't get to do this every day. I mean, that's the reality of it. And high falls don't come along very often.
Yeah.
I did another video, which maybe you might want to show.
Yeah, we can do that.
The high fall masterclass, which is essentially just taking people on a journey of what the training regime is for a stunt performer, having got the call, you know, we need you to do an 80-foot high fall with 1 3/4 somersault, and taking the audience on a journey of what that training looks like. I think, again, that's a really cool video because it's not something that you can take lightly. You know, if someone calls me for a high fall, I want to train for it. I'm not one of these people. I mean, there probably are people out there that, stunt performers out there could just go, yeah, I'll do it, and go along and turn up on the day. But not me, because I have to know exactly, hone in on the spatial awareness, know exactly where I am in time and space, how it's going to feel, get an idea of the stunt. So I implement a training program for that. There's a few videos on my channel, like one I did for a commercial, which is a cliff dive. Again, taking people on that journey of what that training looks like. And for the one jumping off a building with 1 3/4 somersaults, showing what I do to even just getting used to starting from 80 feet, knowing what that looks like, what it feels like, and getting perspective so that when you turn up on the day, that doesn't throw you.
Yeah, it's surprising. But how do you train for that? Where do you go? Where do you get the heights and stuff?
I would, if I can visit the venue and the height, it would help me to get up there. I would actually go to the building, stand where I have to stand, get used to it, be able to visualize that while I'm doing my training. Understand what I've got to do in the air and try and implement a training regime which mimics that. So if on that video, I don't know if you can.
Yeah. So did you send it to me or?
Yeah, it's the high fall masterclass, the one with.
Unfortunate.
That one.
There you go.
That one.
Wasn't able to.
So this one really answers all your questions to what I was saying. So basically, it's showing a few of the high falls that I've had to do. That one is actually with Belinda. So there we are performing together, going through the window. And that's the one I'm talking about. So it will take you through this process from getting the call to the actual result, which is that one there that you can see. And then it's how I go about doing that, which for a stunt like that, I will go to that height on a building, get used to it. Then I will go to the diving pool. Start, I mean, as high as you can go, which is 10 meter boards in this country. I'll take myself off, do a slow somersault in the first 10 meters till I hit the water, which you'll see a bit later on. I actually go to the pool and I do a slow, messy somersault, so you know that how that is going to feel in the first 30 feet. And then the next 30 plus will be just turning it over and be able to spot the airbag and then land safely on your back. But it is a process. It's not something that just happens. And that's a really nice video. Like I say, you can see there, I'm looking down from the height that I've got to. So it doesn't surprise me on the day. It doesn't make me nervous.
And this is great when you show it to viewers, because right now you can see actually, whoa, looks high.
Yeah.
Because every time when you are down there and looking up, never looks high. When you're up there and looking down,
you've got to get both perspectives.
Yeah.
And so I stand on top of the building and I do it from below as well, because you want to know what it's going to look like and you've really got to focus, mind over matter. Or, you know, a lot of the time there might be people on those balconies. So you might want to get a perspective of, you know, where they are in relation to where you're starting, so it doesn't put you off. I know on that particular shoot, there were people watching on their balconies almost the same level as me, which was really disturbing because you were looking down at this little tiny postage stamp of an airbag, and yet you've got people at the same height as you, which are almost like level. Yeah. So it really threw me, and I had to really focus to like, okay, now I've got to check myself off. These people are, I had to sort of blank them out to really maintain the perspective of height and get my head tuned into, how it was going to feel in the time and space on the drop.
And here was the question which I was kind of wondering about you. I wasn't sure when did the high diving started in your career, because like I know that you're a really good high diver, and then you are known in industry as a high diver, and then that means also like doing the high falls. So how the high diving started because of the stunts?
No, actually, I was a diver as a child. I got into diving a little bit, and I actually I really made the wrong decision. I should have gone with diving instead of gymnastics, but I had the crossroads to choose between diving and gymnastics. And Chris Snowd, who was one of the best divers that we've had in this country, in years gone by, back then he was a Commonwealth champion, etc. And I went on a training course with Chris, and he really saw the potential in me, and he was like, we want you here. And he actually gave up his bed for me at weekends to go down and train at Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace,
yeah. So he would move in with Jill, his fiancée, and make sure that there was a bed for me to be able to stay in to go and train. But I was 13 years old, and by then, my parents were like, well, if you're going to do it, then you've got to go on the train. And it's a lot for a 13-year-old to travel for hours on end and then go and stay with strangers and then do the training on top of that. So when I had to weigh up what I wanted to continue with, whether it was diving or gymnastics, potential-wise, I probably should have stuck with the diving, because later on I did pick it up again, and I went off to the World Masters, and I was pretty good. Even though much later on in life, and I know if I'd have stuck with it as a kid, then I probably would have been even better. But coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Like we've been talking about, it's all fate and destiny, and there's no such thing as a wrong answer. I chose that road, and but had I done that, then I wouldn't have been Team GB with the double mini trampoline.
Yeah.
So you can't really, I shouldn't really say that, but it has put me in good stead. Like now, going back to the diving, which I love doing, you'll see how it really has helped with the job. So here I am on the 10-meter board, just waffling. And just, again, it's the perspective. And this was all about just tuning in that first 30 feet and doing a messy somersault, so you know how it's going to feel. And I don't leave anything to chance. I want to know how that first 30 is going to go. So when you push yourself off that building, because there's nothing natural about pushing yourself off a 7-story building, you've got to know and trust in what you do and know how it feels, so it's not going to throw you at any point. And you don't want to rotate too fast, because then you're going to come a crupper on the airbag.
Well, this is something what I can relate, because I did my high diving, and I was probably one of the shittiest high divers ever, but I did pass the test. But first time when I saw how it looks from 10 meters, oh boy, there you go.
See, there's just a messy somersault, first 10, and then the next 30 plus is a very slow rotating.
Yeah, because people who don't know, you have to land.
That's the real thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, and you have to land on your back.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the main difference between high diving in the water or high falls. If you fall in the water, you can go head first or feet first, but when you land in the bag, it's only back first.
Yeah, you got to be flat as well.
Flat back, yeah.
So you'll see. I mean, 80 feet comes quickly.
Nice.
It's over in a second, but
that's amazing.
A lot of training went into that particular stunt. So it's just, again, it's interesting. With the presenting, I like to take people on that journey, and it's an educational platform, not just for the hell of it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But because I do some presenting, and I've done more in the past. I loved even like when I was learning how to do wheelies on a bike. I'd love to do a little journey about like telling how to get into it. And then some people message me, oh, thanks for breaking it down. It's great to see how it actually works. Because a lot of people think that like the stunt guys are just, they're just crazy, go on heights and do stuff. No, there's so much preparation. They do on 3 meters, 5 meters, 7 meters, and then they progress, and and they also, some of them like me, because they're afraid to spank themselves and they have to rush through the training, they wear wetsuits so they don't hurt themselves and things like that. And then when I go do a double layout from 11 meters bridge, and then people say, you crazy. Yeah, but I did all that other preparation before.
Yeah, they don't see that preparation that goes
exactly.
into it. Plus, this might help somebody else. It actually it is a tool for people in our profession who might just say, "Oh, yeah, I'll do it," and they get the call, and then they're like, "Well, how do I go about doing it?" Because they might be perfectly capable of doing it, but sometimes it's nicer to be able to see visually, what somebody else has done.
What is the highest you ever jumped in the water? Or
for that commercial, it was like 17 meters.
17
that
meters.
one, doing a flying front somersault, so a swallow dive into a somersault. And again, I was talking to the Red Bull guys because, off 10, it's no big deal. But I wanted to, and I was watching. There's a guy called Owen that does the Red Bull cliff diving, and I was in touch with him on Instagram because I'd seen his videos, and he had one that went viral of him running, jumping off a wall, and then doing a 100-foot flying front somersault, basically landing feet first, which is exactly what I had to do for the commercial. So it was wonderful, again, to see that and use it as a tool and be able to speak to somebody who's done it. It really helped me, and I was just like, what would you advise? Give me some advice. It was wonderful to be able to talk to him, and he just basically was just holding that pike position as long as you can and making sure you don't over rotate, because
if you do,
hitting water from that height is like hitting concrete. You can really.
I hit myself first time when I thought I'm not going to do high diving anymore. I did from 5 meters, over rotated and smacked my chest, but I wasn't wearing wetsuit. And I got out and I was like, this hurts so much. How does it hurt from 10 meters?
Yeah.
It almost put me off. And then I put a wetsuit, did exactly the same thing. And I was, it doesn't hurt that much. So, okay, I can do it now.
Even from 10, you can break your wrist, you can break a rib, knock yourself out, dislocate your shoulders.
Yeah.
It's not to be taken lightly just because it's water.
I did something very, very stupid when I was in Bali. I was hanging out with this guy who is a high level. He used to be in he actually he did train with Chris Snowden as well. And he basically perfectly did like the double front, perfect entrance from 20 meters. And I was like, I'm a stuntman, I can do it as well. Went for a gainer and over-rotated so bad, I landed on my back. And I was like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Who I'm trying to impress here?
Exactly. And from that height, you're probably going to cough up blood.
Yeah, I was like, I basically, as I landed, that wasn't flat back, it was just kind of crouched, and it was mainly my ass. So it just smashed on my butt. That was beautiful. Okay, let's have another break, and then we have one more. And we are back with Nicholas Daines. He's still alive. He's still here. Didn't run away from me. So this segment is just a little
bit different. So let's find out your presentation skills.
That's lovely. That's cool, actually. I wish I did have a voice that was that deep.
But the thing is, you're trying to make it deep, don't you? Just speak normal.
That is normal.
So now,
imagine if you did have to do a presenting thing and you could hear your own voice like that. I think it wouldn't last very long. Because right now I just want to laugh. And I can't concentrate on what I'm saying. I hate my life. I hate it. Oh,
like an evil king or something. Okay, you have to say.
I can do this all day. I can just keep laughing.
Out of any people I had here so far trying this, you like it the most. Okay, you have to say certain phrases, things like, I'm not your father.
Why?
Because it's famous expression from Star Wars, I'm not your father.
I'm not your father.
And now you have to say, Hulk smash. Say it.
Say what?
Hulk smash.
Hulk smash.
Come on.
Hulk smash.
And then we go back to the evil laugh. Okay, say
Everyone is quite aware of my obnoxious laugh in the industry. They hate it. Almost as much as I do. And that's why I used to get thrown out of school, because I can't hide it. And it's so loud and it goes, ah! So when everyone else is doing what you do, I can't. And I'd be like, ah! And they'd be like, Nicholas Daines, get out! That's it. True story.
last thing say, cookie.
Okay, that's it. We got this out of our system. How crazy that is. But I love you had such a like.
You know what? I'm such a big kid. That's why we're in the industry we're in. Running around, playing make-believe.
But can you imagine that you walk around the set and that would be your voice? Like you could have like this switch.
I
and you
liked
can
it.
just
I
turn
liked it. It was all right. Commanding and
low and very sexy.
oh my god. I'm so embarrassed. That's horrendous.
No, I love it. I love it. This is you. This is us having fun. So yeah, in the third segment we kind of talked about all sorts of things. It's over.
Everyone's tuned out now. They can't stand the laugh.
They're like, really? You still laughing? Yeah. What is that? What do you want to talk about? I'm the one asking you all these questions. What is the matter? What is important going on? What you would like to discuss? Boom.
Well,
go.
I guess in our industry right now, I suppose it's very interesting times. What with the SAG strike, I mean, that's very topical. It's I mean, have you seen what these big corporate entities and the production companies are proposing with AI and the fact that they can create scenes of dialogue with people and don't need the people for them anymore?
I mean, that's the scariest thing, that they could just scan you.
Wow.
And scan. It's like, it's not only for stunt performers. It's not like, not even talking about essays. Essays feels like going to be so easy to replace. It's ridiculous. But with the stunts, they can scan you and whatever. But then with the actors, they can scan you, get your voice, everything, and just create the character. And that's.
But do you think it's too late? Do you think, obviously the technology is there now, and we've been signing our lives away for so long with.
That's the scary thing.
And knowing that they are in big scenes replicating people to create a sense of lots and lots of people. Essentially that's been going on for a long, long time. And obviously behind the scenes, they're ready to launch and be able to use these things in their full capacity and with what they can actually achieve. So how do you feel about it? Do you think it's too late, or how do you think this will resolve itself?
It's really, really, to me, it's really difficult to comprehend, even like not really knowing what are the possibilities. Like from one side, you hear that the possibilities to the level where they literally can mimic to the moves, like complex fight choreographies. Like they can just scan you and then you can fight and you do reactions and everything. So that is pretty much how
we've been doing that with motion capture for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So these people have probably created catalogs of moves, and all they need is a library.
Because for games and stuff, that's what they do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you today it's so real. Yeah. I mean, you watch these computer games, it is like watching a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really scary.
I mean, I don't know. That's why we have to think about the B plan, the C plan. What else can we do as human beings? Because one of the last kind of professions or careers which I kind of heard would be the least replaceable. It's caregivers, people who look after other people. You can't, as a robot or whatever, you can't give that affection and that kind of interaction. So from performance perspective, one of the last would be like stand-up comedy. So someone who's in the live shows. Maybe there can be some AI start getting like movies where it's funny, kind of whatever. But a live show when someone is on the stage interacting with people, I think that would be one of the last ones they could figure out how to replace. But like our stuff, like stunt performers, when they did this stuff with the flying dolls in Disney, whatever, they were like, oh look, it's like a kind of a dummy who looks like a human and flies around. Oh, that could be replaced. A stuntman doing a high fall, let's say, what we were just talking
absolutely,
about.
Yeah, but we when we see the movies with the stuff that we've produced and then what's going on around us and how many people there are, and,
right.
you know, you're reacting to a creature that's not there, and then it is that, you know, it's incredible. But the AI with it's identity theft on the grander scale, and that's what I can't believe we haven't got some sort of legality.
Yeah, some kind of protection from that. Yeah. I don't know. It's like the people just need to strike, but then they're like, yeah, you guys can strike. We already replaced you.
But also we do give these production companies the power by signing away our lives. I mean, we consent to this, but they've been gearing up to it, like I say, for a long time. And I wonder if, you know, is it too late? You know?
We know what you're gonna do. You're gonna be amazing sick. Already you are a presenter, you know?
Well, they'll just have a robot me.
We're gonna get you this voice and you go.
They'll just have a robot me and I will be out.
Oh, you should say this. I'm Optimus Prime.
I'm Optimus Prime.
Autobots, roll out.
Autobots, roll out.
This is
I
so
think
cool.
it's great.
I know. I think honestly, I have no really
But
idea.
it really, I mean, it has a massive repercussions for us. I mean, I know it seems stateside. Obviously, our work here has been affected by the strike, but also, you know, we in the UK benefit far less from production residuals than the Americans do.
Residuals?
So,
what residuals?
yeah, exactly.
What are we talking about?
I mean, we have even more to lose because in terms of livelihoods and protecting that, you know, even the small amount that we do get, you know.
Well, I'm going to go back to go-go dancing. This is the outfit pretty much.
Okay, well, you're ready. You're set, you know.
But that would be funny to see the stunties who you used to like work and make that big money. All of a sudden you're like somewhere in the club and work. How are you doing? Oh, good, yeah.
Oh my God.
But it's interesting, like for someone like me who's been changing so many different careers, I'm gonna like bring it on, you know. I'm gonna figure out something. You know, obviously I would be very upset that we lose this kind of, you know, way of income, way of living and way of just the careers. That would be really sad, but at the same time, just bring it on. I will figure out something.
I'm sure it's not the end. I'm sure there will be a resolution, but I you know, it will be interesting to see how it pans out, and you know how we have to remain strong here, because you know our contracts are also up for negotiation soon. That we have to really stay strong so that we can negotiate a better future for ourselves as well over here.
Gosh. Why don't you have to talk about?
Sorry,
like
that was a bit depressing, wasn't it? But it was topical. But you haven't even asked me about any of the other stuff you asked me to send over, like people, inspirational people.
Yeah, we're gonna get that's the next.
Okay. I was wondering. I was thinking, you know, God,
because after that, that's pretty much it.
We haven't even covered that. I mean,
that's for the dessert.
Sure, they've
so the three things I usually ask at the end for the podcast is the books, the people, and the movies. With the books, it was interesting. I started listening the audio version of what was the first book you sent to me? I need to look it up now.
Moby Dick.
No, Moby Dick. Yeah, let's talk about Moby Dick. Yeah, so
Herman Melville. Well, I did In the Heart of the Sea.
You did In the Heart of the Sea.
In the Heart of the Sea, which is the story of Moby Dick.
Yeah.
with Chris Hemsworth, and
Oh, you worked that
I
one?
was doubling Cillian Murphy on that.
did
one.
you?
Yeah. And we were in real whaling boats
Oh,
out
nice.
at sea.
Wait, you didn't double Chris Hemsworth?
Thank goodness Cillian is a little bit shorter.
Yeah, how was that?
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I saw the movie. It was pretty decent.
That's one of my favourite films to have done, just because we went to a fantastic location in La Gomera in the Canaries. And that's a fascinating place, has lots of different microclimates, but also just to be on tall ships, having waves thrown at you, and then in whale boats that overturn and you're swimming in the ocean. But I tell you, that film, I don't know why it sort of didn't have the gravitas in terms of, what I'm doing now with the wildlife, and really inspiring me with whales, because that came later. Really, I have to say, a lot of movies that we do have animal themes, and I feel like we could make a lot more of that in terms of getting messages across as well. Because it wasn't until I saw the new Avatar that I really took myself off to, be amongst whales in the ocean, because it was that inspiring. But I actually did In the Heart of the Sea, which obviously was a story about sperm whales. So it... I'm amazed looking back that it didn't have the gravitas that it could have done.
Yeah.
And, where my journey did lead me, that would have been a great...
Why do they call them sperm whales?
They just do.
They just do. Yeah, I haven't seen the second Avatar yet. I'm a bad boy. Yeah, I love the first one. I went three times to the cinema to see it again. And I know that the second one is being good, but I think I missed the time when they show it in cinema anymore. Or they still show it, I don't even know.
I don't know, but I saw it in 3D and it was really...
I heard good things about
fantastic. And again, like I say, from a conservation point of view, and the fact that even though these creatures in the movie are mystical, fantastical... They're just modifications on what really does exist. And that, I feel like we could make more of the messages within movies about the environment and driving those messages home. It was there.
Yeah.
It just wasn't the full focus. And I feel like it could have been better and handled.
Yeah, and talking about like creatures which don't exist anymore, or, close to being totally extinct. Like, it was interesting from your... one of the documentaries where you're talking about
the northern white rhino.
Yeah, the rhino, how they literally there was no males anymore.
That's
left.
Right. After Sudan died in 2018, which was the last male northern white rhino, the species is functionally extinct.
Yeah,
it's hard to really wrap your head around the fact that it's gone extinct.
Yeah, and they use
in our lifetime. It's happening right now, and it's been happening for obviously a long time until he died. And they've been they tried to breed, but obviously the two females that are left, they can't conceive. So the only alternative is, as they have done, taken the oocytes, which are the immature eggs, and then they've nurtured those eggs, fertilized them, and now cryogenically frozen them so that they have created 22 embryos which could then be implanted into a female southern white rhino as surrogate mothers. Crazy. I mean, crazy times, but that's what's been happening.
That's where we are. Okay, back to Moby Dick.
Sorry, yeah.
Why that book?
Well, because the story is so... the visual imagery while you're reading it is quite special, and it's quite poetic. The way it's written, and then obviously it has a special place because I then did a movie that was like that. So it's just a great story. And when I was a kid, also there was a movie called Orca with Richard Harris. Have you ever seen that?
Sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
Well, it's a similar story in terms of but this time it's killer whales, and they capture a female killer whale that then has a baby that she gives birth to, and it falls on the deck, and it's all about a revenge of the father killer whale.
Oh.
And so it's a little bit similar, but that was a very inspirational movie to me as a child, and it's always stuck with me. So, you know, those two very strong themes about whales taking revenge.
Because there's another movie about the whales, the one that is famous picture when the kid is touching its belly as it jumps over.
That's Free Willy.
Free Willy.
No wonder you like that one.
Yeah. Anything that involves willies, I really enjoy those kind of movies.
And it's free.
And it's free. And it's free. And then there was...
You know what stunt people are like? They're like anything that's free. They're as tight as arseholes. They really are. Stunt people are notorious for it. I'm saying it on air. And you know who you are.
You know what? It's even worse when it's a stunt person from Eastern Europe. when we see free craft, oh my God. But then one time, I was actually surprised. There's another stunt guy, I'm not going to name the names, but he literally would come over with a bag and take all the yogurts and put in his bag. And I was like, what is going on? He's like, well, I have a big family. And then they eat for weeks.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I was like, I thought I'm the only one who stuffed my pockets full when I go.
There's more.
And the other film, the book was Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering Heights. So
well,
English.
Yes, you know, well, it is.
Yeah.
Frightfully English.
I got
it's the ultimate ghost story, you know.
I got the audio version, start listening and listen like maybe 30 minutes. It was so captivating.
The imagery that it conjures while you're reading it with the moors and the drabness of it.
But, oh my God, the words you're using, conjures and drabness. Oh my God. So sophisticated, Nick. Oh,
well,
I love
that
it.
is a sophisticated read.
That's what's up.
But it is beautiful in its,
I love it.
It's imagery that, you know, while you're reading it. And I think I haven't read that many books. You know, in terms of stories, at university, obviously that killed it for me because you had to do so much reading and so much research. But reading for leisure, you know, I haven't read that many. I was talking to a friend on the way here, and she was going, well, thank God I'm not doing the podcast because I can't think of one book I've read. And she's really, really intelligent. And she's a finance manager for some.
But what about audio version? Don't you find kind of easier to do that?
I haven't really got into that, and I think I'm going to. Because everyone, you know, it was something I just haven't really.
Yeah. For me, breaking point
myself to
kind of was the start doing podcasts because I thought like I want to learn every time when I meet, have a guest. Every time we can exchange with ideas what we read in that book, and you look at it differently than I look at it. Unfortunately, lately it's been like I just didn't have time to read certain books. But when I started, I was very like, okay, every time. And then I would listen to them and I was just like, you know, in the gym and whatever. And some books, unfortunately, they have very shitty narrating. It's like so boring. It's so monotonous. But some of them are really captivating. It's pretty cool to listen to them. So
yeah. I'm going to give it a whirl.
Yeah.
But what inspired me to read Wuthering Heights was the Kate Bush song, Wuthering Heights.
Oh, right.
Inspired by the book.
Okay.
So yeah, that I was a big Kate Bush fan.
That's good to know.
And Kate Boobs, as we used to call her.
Had to destroy it, did you? And then there's a Harry Potter series.
Oh,
look at this big child.
Like I say, I haven't read that many books. So the Harry Potter series of books are again. I mean, gosh, what that writing gives you in your head. You know? Even when the movies came out, everyone was like, the books are better. And they are. You know,
of course. But how can you possibly do this? And it's, again, like, this is the beauty about reading books. Again, you read, I read the same book, and we're going to have totally different things in our heads, like how we visualize it, how is it happening. And then for someone who is taking this crazy kind of a job to create a movie out of it, it's such a big responsibility because there's going to be like thousands of people who read it and like, no, I thought it's going to be different.
Yeah.
It's like,
I guess you have to take yourself out of it because I wasn't really impressed with the first movie at all. But if you've never read the book, then of course, it has a completely different impact.
Yeah. And it's I think the toughest one is to watch a movie and then read a book, and then you're like, what? And then you're just like, oh, only these couple things were mentioned in the movie. And it's like, in the book, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Okay.
It kind of takes the want to read the book after you've seen something. For me.
Yeah. But it's also cool to kind of to compare those two things. But yeah, the movies are made for the lazy people who just don't want to read stuff.
Sign me up.
So from the books, we go to more exciting stuff. Movies. It's great that I have shades. I can't even see. Okay. What do we have? Goonies. Goonies is such a what is that, like traditional? No, but classic. What about them? Why?
Well, because it was the adventure, you
right?
know, and the mundane life into then finding this other world of hidden treasure. I think it speaks volumes. Really, why I like it is just, you know, what's possible in life and finding the magic and creating the magic. It's there. We just you have to just tune into it.
Yeah.
And I think with a movie like that, it's just the possibility that other places exist. There's more to life. You know, go for it. Treasure hunting. Again, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark was, I didn't put that down, but, you know, that was another one similar, you know, the transportation from real life into this amazing adventure with amazing creatures and mystical events and really cool stuff.
Don't you find it's quite frustrating that it feels like, especially when we get to the school system, that it kind of starts killing down your imagination and your thirst for like this treasure, this something what we don't know? Because as a kids, we have this crazy imagination. You know, I remember like recently, as example, my oldest nephew, like my mom, his grandma would tell me stories like how he would see a field and he's like, grandma, look, it's like an ocean, like look, there's a boat and stuff. This whole imagination is there, and somehow down the line we break it down. No, this is not real. And then it feels like we should be encouraged, like, you know what, when you travel, when you explore, that's
well, I think
new stuff.
for the generation today, it must be difficult because you know, for us or for myself at least, you know, there were unexplored places. There was this otherworldliness still to discover, and because most of it's been done, hasn't it? And we're so blasé about it now. You know, yes, probably does take the imagination out of things, and it must be difficult today. But school didn't do that for me. I mean, it just sort of fueled that, really. Especially studying science, it's just full of wonder and learning, and I still think I'm on that journey of just discovery.
Then we have Dallas Dynasty. That's something what I watched when I was a kid, and I could not understand.
They were TV shows.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's TV shows. It's fine.
They were TV shows, which, like I said, I went into that in detail earlier. Of it was the inspiration of where I really wanted to go was Hollywood, and it was the glitz and glamour, and you know, nice houses, fast cars, lots of money, posh restaurants. But I'm a huge country music fan, so I think that's where really Dallas spoke to me. It was because, you know, it was horses, it was on a ranch, and I still picture myself as a bit of a cowboy.
Do you have proper cowboy hat?
Yeah. I went on a proper working cowboy ranch in Montana.
Oh, nice.
Where you're in the saddle for like 9 hours a day. Let me tell you, that is one profession I really take my cowboy hat off to, because they work so hard. I mean, we were herding cattle. We were taking them to different grazing fields. You've got to run after cattle that escape. We had to lasso them. We had to castrate them. We had to brand them. Yeah, and we actually had mountain oysters. We actually ate their testicles. They deep fry them.
Like you said, lasso them, like that just disappeared, and I just castrate them. It's like, what did you do last weekend? Well, castrated some bulls.
and we made mountain oysters, and they deep fry the testicles, and they actually taste a bit like chicken nuggets.
Like testicles.
No, they don't. Well, I don't know what
This is like, since I was a kid, someone says like,
I'm not sure what a fried testicle tastes like.
No, but it's since I was a kid, people would say this tastes like shit, and I was like, how do you know how shit tastes? Like, you know, and eventually there's one day in my life I will try how it tastes because I'm like, it tastes like shit. Okay, let's move on. Oh my god! And there was a movie was I Give It a Year. I never heard of that one.
Oh my god!
Need to check it out.
Is
it the best? Is it the best movie?
That is a movie I can watch over and over and over again. I don't know if I keep going away from this microphone.
No, you're good.
I Give It a Year. I can watch that over and over again. Like I said, it's got Rose Byrne in it, who I find incredibly funny, and I had the fortune to work with Rose.
Oh, nice.
Also doubling Cillian Murphy on Sunshine. And that's where I met Rose. And she was just the most down-to-earth, funny person, just in real life. And then obviously she became this mega star. And she's just brilliant. And anything she does is brilliant. I love it. Have you seen that new one she does on Apple TV with... can't think of his name. It's all about her. No, she's so fun.
I know. I feel a bit shitty that I didn't have time to check out these movies because then I could add something. But Cillian Murphy, the Peaky Blinders guy.
Yes.
Yeah, you doubled him. Is he that short? Oh, sorry. Is he that tall?
Well, he's not that tall because obviously I was doubling him. But yeah, like I said, I doubled him in The Heart of the Sea as well. So
all right. Because I'm rewatching now.
I've got step-ins. They're good.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I'm rewatching the Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, that's done really well.
Yeah, that's such a good series.
The coordinator didn't come to me for that. So.
Oh, poor you. I did a good job on that one. I was playing Italian assassin. I got
do
killed.
Anything on it. It doesn't have to be that. I'm a whore for the work. I'll do it.
Oh no, you just did not say that. Okay, that's it. Well, let's move away from movies. Let's talk about people.
Didn't do Dracula. Dracula was a good one.
Okay,
Stoker's Dracula.
Sorry. So Dracula.
Well, that's it. That's another movie that I've always been. The story of Dracula I've always been very.
Wait, the latest
influential.
Dracula. The latest one where he was fighting everyone?
No, that was terrible. But the idea of vampires, Salem's Lot when I was a kid, it was a mini-series, an American TV series, that had a big impact on me.
Okay, say it. I'm Dracula.
I am Dracula.
What kind of Dracula is that?
It was Dracul. That was his real name.
No, I love Dracula from the Hotel Transylvania. I'm Dracula, blah, blah, blah. You never seen that one?
No.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's really funny. It's a cartoon, though.
No.
Maybe you're too grown up for that. Okay, and Dracula. Great. People. Let's start with your mom.
Yeah,
we already kind of started talking about it.
You asked who are sort of inspirational characters. My mum is definitely up there because she's had MS, multiple sclerosis, and she has had a family of 4 kids, raised those. Mother, best friend, wife, and she's been in a wheelchair for the last 45 years. Since 90, she went to a wheelchair, I think 93. And she's the most determined person that I've ever come across. And she comes across so many obstacles on a daily basis. Just going to the toilet is difficult, and yet she does it with a smile on her face. She's just so strong and determined, and no matter what's going on in your life, we have all these things that we moan about. I mean, she's got real problems, and yet she does it with such grace and dignity, and she's she is the strongest person I know, and that's where I get my determination from, and a lot of my strength. And she's just an inspirational woman. I mean, I know probably people think that about their mums, but truly that is the case with my mum.
Because in your case, I can just imagine that anytime you think like, oh, my life sucks, oh, this doesn't work out, and then you just look at your mom and you're like, shut up.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. But also, even when I am moaning, my mum is there
to support you.
To support me. And that's quite incredible. With all the problems that she's got going, she's always there to listen to me and, my nonsense. And, she's got enough.
Shout out to your mom. Wait. This is the button.
Yeah, she's amazing.
That's awesome, man. And it's great to just stop and give that credit to people in our lives. And sometimes, I will catch myself like just kind of taking those things for granted and you just stop and open your eyes. I'm talking about my example.
Yeah.
And my mom was huge inspiration for me as well.
And my dad was away a lot, being a pilot. He was away a lot. So my mum was mum and dad a lot of the time. So she had a lot to really deal with, especially with 4 kids running around.
Yeah, can imagine. Then we had Mr. How do you say Attenborough?
Yes, Mr. Attenborough.
David Attenborough. Can you do a good impression of Attenborough?
No.
Come on, give it a go. Come on. I know you just wanted to do it.
And
here we can see 2 rhinoceroses smelling each other's dong.
Oh my God. Okay. That wasn't bad.
No, it was
but
horrible.
I'm not going to go there.
I had Eldred, who I mentioned to you. Eldred did such a good impression because he was talking about the bees and stuff.
Oh, right.
And then, do you know? Okay, so this is the thing. Do you know how bees do the? So they have a queen. How queen gets fertilized? How, like the process vaguely? Do you know how it works?
Not big on bees.
Okay, so I'll quickly just tell you. And I grew up in a farm where we did had a bee farms, and so I kind of knew stuff, right? But then Eldred just blew my mind. So he's basically when the queen bee is ready to get fertilized to mate, so it flies out and it gets followed by like 20 or 30 male bees, which they call them drones, right? And so when they do the action there, so the male bee actually inserts its penis in the queen, and it blows up. The penis blows up. The drone falls down dead because it dies, obviously, because this, and then the queen bee with its legs pushes out whatever was left from that dead drone, and it does for another 10 to 15 times. And then queen bee is fertilized for next 3 to 5 years, and it doesn't do ever, but that one time has this thing. And when he was telling me, I was like, "What the hell is going on
that's
here?"
the fascinating thing.
It's crazy.
I love to learn. As you can't like know everything, and that's really cool. Yeah,
and that's the other reason why I'm doing these podcasts, because I would think like, "Oh, I'm decent on bees. I kind of understand about it." And then someone he's like, because we almost just finished it to talk about bees, and he's like, "Wait, you don't want to know about the blowing up dicks?" and I was like, "Of course, tell me." And then I asked him to do it in Edinburgh's voice,
and he did it.
That's very good. Okay. So very inspirational person. Before I even knew who he was, I heard the voice. You know, I would hear some of the BBC shows, and it's just incredible the way he, like, again, he captivates. And he's been doing this for how many years?
Oh gosh, I mean, since he was a young man. So you know, he's I think almost 90 now. So the great thing he represents is the fact that it is all things nature, and just his mere presence commands respect and attention and focus to the subject. You know what he's done for the natural planet Earth, and the natural wonders and wildlife. It's unrivaled just in his sheer catalogue of years, showcasing the most incredible things on this earth.
Yeah, and it's like for someone who's doing presenting and stuff, it's definitely such inspiration.
It's what he represents. I think, you know, trying to do what I've been doing, and no one gives the monkeys, you know, literally, and it's the fact that he commands that audience, and everybody immediately is focusing on what he says, the messages he's trying to send, and that is, well, that's like gold dust, and for the planet as a whole, it's just what we need. If we can get someone just to command everyone to stop, listen, then that's amazing. So yeah, a very inspirational character in that respect.
Yeah. Did we have the third person? Was there a third person?
We did. My stomach's rumbling. I wonder if you can hear it on the microphone.
Yeah, you can hear it. Just like, oh my God, my ears are blowing up.
Is it? Can you hear it?
No.
The third person for me, I said Dolly Parton.
Here you go.
Because, also a huge country music fan, but she's she's just will not be confined to a box. You know, like you can't put her in a box. She does everything, and I really admire that. And it's something that I've always related to, is the fact that you're not just a one-trick pony. You know, I was, you know, a gymnast, a stuntman, and presenter.
Dancer, and a model, director, and
but that's the thing.
Yeah.
She is. You can't put her in a box. She's everything. She does it all. She's an actress. She's a singer-songwriter. She's a philanthropist. She is an educator, and the fact that she does it so effortlessly, and you know, no matter if you didn't like her, you can't help but like her eventually, because you know, she's doing such amazing things. And the versatility as a person and what she does in her work is just incredible. I mean, that's totally inspiring to be able to cross and effortlessly cross these different boundaries. When we were talking earlier about how people just want to put you in a box. You know, you've either got to be a stuntman, or you either a presenter, or you've got to be a purist naturalist, or you know, wildlife. It's not the case. There's people have more than one string to their bow, and I think we should really embrace that and look what can be achieved if we do, rather than shoving people into boxes.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Like, the argument is that one of the reasons why civilization or the humanity is as far as we are is because we do have specialities. Because when the speciality is in that one direction, that all attention, all your energy is just played in that one direction. But the thing is, we're different human beings. So, like, for me, saying the jack of all trades but master of none, and I usually say jack of all trades, master of bullshit. But do you know what is the actual expression? It goes even further, which they appreciate that you are that you're jack of all trades, because that, in real life, how it works. It's better for you. Like, if we look back how we lived in the farms and whatever, so whatever, something breaks down, whatever, you wouldn't be able to call a plumber. You have to figure out how to do it yourself. Or like any other issues happen with the cattle, you need to know how to figure those out. So you would be jack of all trades in a certain sense. And like, unfortunately, somehow we're losing that. And since I was a kid, I'm not kidding you, my dad was saying like, how is it possible that you do so many different things? What is wrong with you, son? And I'm like, I just enjoy doing different things, and I can definitely recognize that in you. And also, when you are a presenter, when you talk to people, and those things complement. Like, if you've done some stunts and you have experience in there, you know how to move your body. That complements to your personality. So I think it's only advantage. You know what I mean? And so I'm just with you. I totally agree.
Yes.
Yeah, and then looking like some of the actors like Will Smith, or we have what was the curly hair British comedian. He used to have drug problems, and now he has his own podcast.
Oh, what? Take Me to the Greek guy.
Yeah. Oh my God, what was his name?
Conspiracy theorist. I can't.
So bad, both of us. Anyways, people know who we're talking about, and he's like
he's great. I like his. His
acting, comedy, and now he's like literally investigative journalist and doing all these things. And why not?
Yeah, it makes me feel very paranoid though when I listen to his podcast, and now I can't think of his name.
Yeah,
it escapes me. How crazy is that?
Me too. I'm on the same page, and I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah, he's so good.
Hopefully, we're gonna remember by the end.
Do you know what I admire about him, even though no one knows who we're talking about? Quick, Google it.
Okay, I need to
put us out of our misery.
Otherwise, yeah, this is bad.
Because we're in the middle of a podcast talking about someone that no one knows who we're talking about, because neither of us can remember his bloody name. That happens to me all the time, though, with names. I have to say,
we can't be amazing in everything. Come on.
Well, I tell you what I admire about this person. I thought you got it then.
Almost.
Is how articulate he is.
Yeah, the way he speaks, it's insane.
Wow.
Russell Brand. Russell Brand.
Okay.
Shout out to Russell Brand. We just remembered your name.
Yes, thank you for putting us out of our misery. Russell Brand is amazing. He is so articulate.
Yeah.
And that is what I admire about him the most. He doesn't even take a breath.
Yeah.
And he's all these like soliloquies just come out of his mouth, and the way he says it's with such humor, and you just can't help but watch him. I mean, he's hypnotic.
Yeah, and almost you think about his life journey, and he was doing drugs and all that stuff. Maybe that's why he's so cool.
Oh, I don't know about the drugs. I'm not big on the drugs.
Because he was saying like
I can't condone it.
Because he was going through. It was so bad that he needed money for drugs that he like were giving like hand jobs in the toilet and stuff like that.
I wonder is it true though?
I don't know.
I'm sure it is.
I think
no
that's
smoke
what
without
he was
fire,
mentioning.
right? But yeah, I love if people can be really honest and candid as well, you know, that and expose, you know, flaws, because we're all severely flawed. We're human, you know.
But that's why it makes us so original, so different, that we have those things.
Yeah, and we are so flawed, but the honesty is refreshing. But yeah, I will just say he is just incredible.
Exactly.
The way he is so eloquent and articulate
and coherent.
God, I stumble. Look, you've noticed during this. I do that all the time. It's like, oh, can we do that again? Because I can't get my head together. But yeah, he barely falters. I'm sure he's got a good editor as well.
Yeah, but as you see, that the thing, like, he cannot be like you. He cannot be like me. I cannot be like you. And you cannot be like him. So that's the beauty of us.
I wouldn't mind being like his bank account.
Oh, no, you did not say that. Maybe he puts all the money somewhere, I don't know, to some charity. You don't know.
Maybe.
Look at the clothes he's wearing.
Well, maybe you'll be like him one day with, you know, if you keep going with your podcast.
But that's the thing. I don't want to be like him. I want to be like me.
Okay, we'll be like you, but with your podcast.
Yeah.
With his bank account. With his gazillions. And then you won't have to tread in cow shit anymore. Stand with your cold feet in a cow pat.
And you're going to remember this. And one day you're going to be cold somewhere in the jungle. You're like, where's some shit? Any fresh? Don't steal my ideas. Okay, I think we just destroyed this podcast. It was amazing. At the very, very end, there's one question I usually ask to my guests is, I call it the bombs of wisdom. So what is your bomb of wisdom to maybe young Nicholas Daines, maybe someone who just up and coming, trying to figure out their lives? What is that advice?
Don't limit yourself. And keep dreaming. And I think that's what a lot of the youth of today are missing. You know, they don't have the power of the dream because, you know, anything is possible. And don't limit yourself. You can do it. Beautiful.
That was fantastic. And that's the end of our podcast. And in the end, we do a little dance. You ready? You need to show me your shoulder moves. Come on.
God.
Oh, come on. Where is it? Oh.
Okay. One more thing. Say something. Just say something. Say it again. I'm cool.
Blah, blah, blah. Renars Podcast.